Crockett. Vice, Miami.
Be a real hero. Don't be a Hollywood hero type with all the BS and all the yelling and screaming and trying to be tough. Be strong enough to be gentle.
Said, quiet! You light up the city sky, shining bright like a supernova. Your love is a force of mine, making my heart race like a motor. Chains can't hold me down, with a flick I'll break free. Every villain in this town better step back and let us be. Don't feel calling, don't be shy. It's happy hour, and here's why. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Your love's a shockwave, making hearts beat faster. Whoa, 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 my heart's in overdrive. Searching through the neon glow, my heart burns like a fire. I'll melt the shadows, you know, with the love that never tires. We're going on a quest to protect what we cherish, but don't lose sight of our best. In the dawn, let our worries perish. Don't feel calling, don't be shy. It's happy hour, and here's why. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Your love's a shockwave, making hearts beat faster. Whoa, 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 my heart's in overdrive. No force can shatter the peace we have found. Our bond is like a tether, stronger with each challenge. Don't feel calling, don't be shy. It's happy hour, and here's why. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Your love's a shockwave, making hearts beat faster. Whoa, 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 my heart's in overdrive. On this journey we defend our love strong and bright. Bring back the joy, my friend, let's ignite the night. Don't feel calling, don't be shy. It's happy hour, and here's why. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Your love's a shockwave, making hearts beat faster. Whoa, 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 my heart's in overdrive. I wonder if Josh is gonna make this time.
Josh probably won't be here. Another person that won't be here is Tupac, and we finally found out why. And here to talk to me about that is Miss Nerdigans. Hello.
Hi.
We have good news. We finally found out who was really behind the Tupac murders, and it was Diddy.
That's insane. Everyone thought it was Suge Knight, if I remember correctly.
Yep. That was going on for a long time, but now we have unequivocal proof
Sean
here.
Diddy Combs got a police escort to jail Monday.
Rapper Sean Diddy Combs. Sean Diddy Combs.
For 25 long years, the Tupac murder case has been a never-ending whirlwind of shocks and twists, leaving everyone puzzled and the truth difficult to find.
Yeah, no, it's for real here. So this was a drive-by, right? Back in the age where we didn't have cameras everywhere and people weren't.
This was in the 90s.
Right.
Back when the internet was starting and we were on dial-up.
That's true.
Because this was mid-90s, right?
Yep.
So yeah, it was like 95, I think, right?
Exactly. We didn't have the CCTVs everywhere, cameras everywhere. We didn't have cell phones in every hand. You know, this happened and it was a complete mystery as to how it actually went down. And in fact, what made it worse was that many rappers decided to go out and try to take kind of credit for it in their songs. So they'd
Mhm.
put details of the crime in their songs, which would further cloud what was actually happening. And now, 25 years later, we finally have a deal.
Each
So maybe
turn in
we'll
the
hear-
investigation seems to lead to more questions than answers,
Yep.
with the situation only getting worse over time. The latest bombshell came with the arrest of Keith D, throwing the case into further confusion. Now, another well-known figure, rapper P. Diddy, finds himself at the center of suspicion. Was P. Diddy really part of Tupac's murder, and could he face jail time?
Yes.
It's increasingly clear that the road to justice is full of complications and uncertainties. Yet, despite the challenges, the search for closure remains steady, fueled by the hope that one day, the full truth behind Tupac's untimely death will be revealed. Not only are there many rumors, rapper 50 Cent revealed on his Instagram that he Diddy is without a doubt the one who killed Tupac.
Well, you know,
I don't know if I
Uh,
believe. I wouldn't believe 50 Cent on that, like unless he has evidence for it. Because 50 Cent wasn't around when that happened, so it's like I don't know if I could take his word for it.
well, you know, around versus talk to the right people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And 50 Cent isn't the only one. Keith D has long claimed that Diddy was involved in Tupac's 1996 murder. In his
Was that
book
correct?
Compton Street Legend, Keith says that Diddy directly ordered the killing.
Yeah.
In an interview with Vlad TV, Keith even said that FBI agents told him they'd heard Diddy had paid $1 million as a reward for the killing.
That's a 90s money, okay?
That's like
1 million in 90s money.
it's insane.
It's absolutely crazy. This has nothing to do with Japan, by the way. It was just news that was breaking before we went live here earlier today, and I was just like, wow, that is astonishing that Diddy just goes to from bad to worse in this situation.
Oh
But,
yeah.
Well, we do have some good news, though, fellas and ladies. We do have Lacoste letting everybody know that they're going to jump in on the One Piece wagon, too, and give you a fancy shirt here with 2 gators on it instead of just 1.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know about Lacoste, okay, you didn't grow up in like the 2000s. Lacoste is an Italian preppy brand. So like think polo shirts and all that. And they
Right.
make really good stuff too. In terms of quality, I mean.
Right.
So seeing a polo of this, that's kind of cool. I think it's really cool that you have like Oda's take on the Lacoste crocodile, and then you have the crocodile on top, you know, the traditional Lacoste crocodile there.
It's almost like these fashion designers want to design fashion or something. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But if you in Japan though, if for those of you that don't know, in Japan, there are manga artists that have done different advertisement campaigns for, and these are for the high-end designers too. And Araki did a chapter of the Rohan series about Gucci. Like the mystery was around Gucci.
Hmm.
And I thought it was very fascinating. And you got a little bit of the history of Gucci, but yeah, the bizarreness of it all was a cursed bag.
Oh, that's not going around now, is it? All
No,
that going
but
around.
this is a old chapter. Let me make sure I have the right title here. Yeah, it's Thus Spoke Rohan Kishibe, which is
Okay.
the side story for JoJo. But yeah, they've collaborated with Gucci. I think I've seen other mangaka collaborate with Versace, if I remember correctly. But yeah, like you just gotta look for it. There's tons of advertisements that mangaka are working on. But something that if you've been around for long enough, you know about what Uniqlo does, which is a bargain brand. And they make really good stuff too. They do collabs with Shueisha and Kodansha too. And they put out really beautiful limited edition shirts. I have, I almost forgot, I have 4 of them because I have a Hajime no Ippo one, I have a Nanatsu no Taizai one, and 2 One Piece ones. And they were all under $20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you have announced more trailer for the new My Hero Academia movie, You're Next. This is
Yes.
the one
it's
with
coming
Dark
out-
Knight in it, right?
Yeah, it's coming out August 2nd in Japan, and it's come because of thanks to Godzilla -1. It's coming out here in October. And supposed to get hopefully it will have a full scale release based on what the president said of Toho. It sounds like it will get a full release, which is something we really haven't seen since Demon Slayer.
Right, and just so you guys know, we can't play the audio for this, so we're just going to play the visuals for it, and we can, you know, we see here is All Might, and then, of course, the impersonator Dark Might is making his appearance. We see, oh, wow. Okay, that isn't Full Metal. This is one of the things that irritates me with Horikoshi's stuff, is that occasionally it gets a little too, this other thing inspired this. That's Edward Elric's arm.
It totally is.
Come on, dude. It's Horikoshi, I get what you're trying to do, and I appreciate it, but really just kind of just be a little bit more transparent.
But yeah, but there was an interview with Viz that Horikoshi did, and Horikoshi was saying that he, in terms of Marvel, because they were asking about Marvel, that he did the surface level inspiration for Marvel. So it's just, you know, the basic premise kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
But,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is what we're looking at, right? So I can't say it's like a 1-for-1 copy. It's not what I'm arguing, but it's just every now and then Horikoshi's stuff is too close, you know?
Well, sometimes it'll happen. It will. But yeah, those are the new characters.
Yep.
But yeah, Dark Might, and Dark Might is voiced by the same voice actor as All Might.
Well, I would hope so. It would kind of defeat the point of an impersonator if he didn't sound the same.
Yeah, but it looks really good. It looks better than like a lot of the main season My Hero Academia episodes. So you got that nice detailing, you got the shading there, you got the fluidity for the fights. Because sometimes it just, the anime is very hit or miss, at least for me.
Wow. Holy, that's bigger than the mountain range. That's a city.
Yeah.
What? Wow.
This is so beautiful. They really did their best.
I'm impressed. We don't get to see that too often, Mount Lady transforming.
Yeah.
So apparently Dark Might, rather than having all for one for all, he has some type of power, energy accelerator power is what that looks like.
Yeah.
Like a kinetic accelerator ability.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's crazy because the manga's ending around the same time the movie comes out in Japan.
Yeah. And of course, the movie, if you don't know, the movie has no basis in the manga. It borrows the same characters, but it tells yeah, exactly. It's a separate situation.
Yeah, the movie canon is complete. It's like Dragon Ball in that way, where you have the anime and the manga, and then you have the movies that are in their own canon. Well, minus the modern ones, but
Dark Might is going to be their Brawly, just so you guys know. Okay?
Yeah,
Dark Might's going to be their Brawly. Hate to break it to you. Whoop, and it's making noise. Thanks, Elon.
But God, it's so pretty.
Yep.
Dark Might looks so good.
They nailed that. They nailed that like evil
aura.
Yeah, it's still All Might, but you could tell that there's something wrong, you know? Yeah, right. Yeah, also as good as Evil Doggy Kruger. Yeah, you're exactly. It's the Dark Might name needed a lot of work. I'm glad they didn't go with Black Might though. That would have been like Goku Black. That was awkward for a little while.
I don't think that would have gone down very well.
Team 4-Star had a great joke about that. Did you ever see that clip where the two Gokus are mating and he's like, I thought you'd look different.
I love Team 4-Star. Oh God, it's so the fire looks so much better here than it does in like the anime, because that's one thing I can't stand is how the fire looks in Boku no Hero Academia anime.
Wow. Okay, just take a minute and observe how Dark Might is fighting. He's parkouring through that explosion. Watch. Here he is jumping up off, like he's launching off of that kinetic accelerator energy, and he's flipping. Look at that. He's flipping. Awesome. He gets repelled back by Deku once with a shockwave. Then he hits it again, and he's literally clawing up. Watch this. he's clawing like a bear up the energy he's generating, the kinetic accelerator energy he's making. He's clawing like a bear up at it. This is ridiculous.
Hey, what do you want? It's My Hero Academia, but man, the animators are really doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, somebody brought their A game, that's for sure.
They usually do. When it comes to the movies, they usually bring the best animators from the production team.
Yeah, it was Flick. That's right. It was the blue guy that he fought in the last one there, that Deku fought in the last movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Heroes. Yeah, something like that.
The time placement for that one was, in terms of the canon, was very questionable. But for me, I was pissed because I was like, dude, you could have just done My Villain Academia as a movie, and people would have gone to watch it. It would have been fantastic to see My Villain Academia as a movie.
Well, I didn't mind that story with Flecked because I thought that was they did an excellent animation of that final battle where Deku is overwhelming the reflect power of Fleck. That was pretty cool. I got to admit that usually that gimmick is like tired and boring, but somehow that looked far more dire and like you're gonna die if you screw this up, kid, kind of moment than it really should have, honestly. Especially when he's like doing the punching the air gimmick, it's kind of dull, but I get it. It's this. He's flipping in the air with his glowy boots and everything, and people.
I love the placement of the boot too. It's like perfect, and how it's glowing.
Oh, that's fun. So you'll see Dark Might and Deku just like whipping through the air. I had said it like Stewie Griffin, whipping through the air. And whipping through the air at each other using like parkour, midair parkour battling. That'll be fun. That'll be fun, especially Black Whip. That'll have a nice aesthetic.
Oh yeah, Black Whip will look amazing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. It does look nice, PhD Joshua. Yep, it does look nice.
They're really stepping up their game. I wish we would get this like all the time from Bone Stuff. That would be really nice to have.
I think they're smart because this way they make a lot more money selling this single DVD movie than printing up a whole series of this. So that's smart to pour your chips into this. So that way you get more money off the single production as opposed to all these episodes you got to make.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
But speaking of all these things you got to make, we do have the Bleach Rebirth trailer.
Oh, this is the thing. This is the game that everyone has been waiting for, and it looks so good.
So one of the things that people I noticed on Twitter were talking about with this is that it has the aesthetic of the early 2000s Bleach game that came out, the fighting game that was kind of like Naruto Storm, Ninja Storm or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I think it was Brave Souls is what it was called.
Brave Souls, yeah. So it has this aesthetic, that punkish overlay of the early 2000s Bleach. You remember that all that advertisement
also
they were doing?
Bleach came out in the early 2000s as well. So it's like it totally fits the aesthetic. It looks so beautiful.
And I really have to thank Kubo for keeping that. Like that, he could have very easily have modernized the Bleach aesthetic to match the current era, but he decided to stay in the Y2K look, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, Kubo is very, very strict about that, I would think.
Yeah. So you're going to see more of that cell shading stuff that we saw with the original Dragon Ball Z Budokai. So it looks closer to the anime than it does like N64, you know?
Yeah, but that shading, man, makes a huge difference.
Well, I honestly think that Metal Gear could really like benefit from embracing this look, this like 90% anime look.
Yeah, and this classic like 2000s aesthetic. I think Metal Gear could use that.
Kojima's not part of it anymore. He's off making Daryl.
But look how good Ichigo looks, though. He looks so good. Oh, he looks amazing. I mean, like compared to like Jump Force, that garbage.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh god, and there's Byakuya looks amazing too. So now we're seeing the combat system.
So one of the things I do want to draw your attention to immediately is the placement of the super bar. You see that down there?
Yeah.
This is vitally important because this is one of the things that Justice League, the Injustice game showed us in this fighting game thing. Watching that blink away up top just makes you think your HP is going down. So I want to point out how genius this is to return that bar back to the bottom of the screen so you know what you're looking at without thinking.
Yeah, it's all nice and organized.
Mm-hmm. I like the flame graphic too. That's helpful. That's nice. Reminds me of
Oh,
Rukia's
the
glove.
Soulbreaker. Yeah, this is gonna be so. This is gonna be so amazing.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a replay of the anime, like a campaign, right? This
I
isn't
think
like
so.
some.
I believe so. I don't know if it is. I don't know if it'll have the filler content there, because there is a lot of filler. But it just looks so good.
Yeah, and we've got Infern24 in here. It says, I get that, I mean, I get that you haven't had a Bleach game in so long, but doesn't give you the right hate on other franchise during the showcase. What are we mad about? What did we get
No,
mad about?
we aren't mad about anything.
No, I'm sorry. I don't remember dunking on another property while we were talking about this. I apologize if we did. That wasn't the intention. Just
No, and then
explaining that this is unique. That's
there's
all.
also like the One Piece game too that you could compare to. Oh, or if you're talking about Jump Force, well, yeah, we're just comparing it to Bleach. Oh, the general fandoms. Oh yeah, Bleach fandom is like that. Bleach fandom will get very toxic at times. And same with the and the One Piece. Yeah, there's that rivalry between the One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto/Boruto fans. Yeah.
There are Boruto fans? No, you're kidding.
Me is one of them. I love Boruto manga is just amazing. And Kishimoto's writing it now too. I've been writing it since like chapter like 52, I believe. But yeah, Boruto's really, really good. Just the anime is basically filler. The anime barely it's garbage.
So apparently this is going to be.
Well, they were hating on Gundam and SAO. Oh God, Bleach, come on, Bleach fandom, you're better than this.
No, I'm just talking about Bleach fans were hating on Gundam and Sword Art Online during the Bandai Summer Showcase during when the game wasn't. Oh yeah, well the biggest problem you have with that is that fans have become territorial now. And when they don't feel like they're getting the attention they think they deserve, they'll go out and take it out on somebody else. And that doesn't even mean like you could be a franchise as well serviced as My Hero Academia, and these kids will still go out and be mad at you. And I want to emphasize that they're most likely kids, and we'll get into that with Genshin Impact a little
Oh
bit.
yeah, but with My Hero Academia, something that someone pointed out is similar to what we saw with Tokyo Revengers is the shippers are the yaoi shippers specifically are going wild again.
Oh God. Wonderful.
Especially when Ochako, because it looks like the ending is there's gonna be a confession with Ochako and Deku, or Deku's probably gonna confess to her. Yeah, the Fujoshis are not gonna be having it. No, because they all have their fan fiction, they all have their canon and all that. And it was the same thing with Tokyo Revengers as well. Same thing. But I don't think Wakui got I don't think we saw death threats for Wakui. Horikoshi, oh, you will see it. You will see death threats. Period. It happens every time.
Well, it's one of those things. Horikoshi tells a tale about a kid that doesn't have a father.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of kids out there that don't, and so they identify with that and get a little carried away with it.
Well, I mean, we might have a situation on the scale of what we saw with Naruto and it was Naruto, Bleach shippers, and Tokyo Ghoul shippers. That chaos. Oh my God. If you are around for that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're talking about razor blades being sent. We're talking about death threats. We're talking about multiple videos posted where fans were burning their physical volumes. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Wow.
These people are like hardcore, these shippers.
Up there with the Raylos, yeah.
No, they're worse than the Raylos. I mean, they literally send razor blades to people.
Worse than the Raylos. That's a statement and a half.
Yeah. And they chased when Bleach ended, they chased Kubo off the platform. They were so pissed because it was the Ichigo Rukia shippers. They still are on some copium too. about their ship not happening.
Color me surprised. That seems to
remember
be
the Narasaka. the Narusaku fans in the mental hospital physician. Dude, I remember that. Dude, I'm telling you, like some of these fandoms, and I'm not talking about Western fandom either. This is in Japan. They were doing this. That's where the razor blades were being sent. Those were Japanese doing that.
Fujiyoshi.
Yeah.
Well, they'll have another series to go ape over here because guess what? There's a brand new isekai that's coming through.
I'm so excited. I love this series. I need to catch up with it. But yeah, I love Red Ranger becomes an adventurer in another world. It is so freaking amazing. Oh my God, it's good. The characters that you see in the other world are really interesting as well. Like they're based off of different cultures too. There's like an Egyptian, and you see an Egyptian based.
No. They're based off of a different culture. Heavens.
No, Spencer knows the series is really good. I wonder if the anime will get to Kazuna Black or not, because he's Red Kazuna.
You know what? I've learned something. If the music is awesome in it, odds are the show's gonna be okay. If the music is awesome. 9 times out of 10.
Depends. It depends on what show you're watching, because sometimes
the only one that failed me was Bravern. And that turned out to be a giant robot that wanted to have sex with its pilot.
That's right.
And they're gay. And that was really weird. But it has really good music, and I hate it.
Then if you haven't watched Suicide Squad Isekai, you should. But the soundtrack from there is just incredible. Oh my God, it's so good. You have a nice balance of like jazz and then the typical like the fantasy orchestral pieces, and then you got a little bit of rock too. It's just a nice balance. But he's the composer for like Fire Force, ReZero. So if you like those soundtracks, you'll like Suicide Squad Isekai soundtrack.
And so this is another sort of twist on the isekai thing. So usually you have just a teenager who gets sucked into their video game has been the standard until about 2 years ago when the isekai thing sort of just went way off the rails. I think they got one now where a vending machine is granted sentience and then transported back into an RPG style fantasy world. And so this joins that in the peak absurdity class of isekai. And what I appreciated about this whole concept, right? Because I haven't read the manga.
Oh, go read it. You will love it. You will love it.
One of the things I appreciated about the concept as it was presented on X in the announcement is that this is a true blue Sentai hero. This is a regular old Red Ranger doing his job that ends up blasted into an RPG setting where he's out of sorts. Things don't explode when he punches them.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, it doesn't mention obviously in the description, but you do, as I said, you get to see different different swords kind of things, and like when you get like the full story or the context of how Kazuna Red ended up there, it makes it even more interesting.
Member of the channel, Meteor Advocate Damone is here, and he says, "Heyo, Cider and Nerdigans, and to Japan anime industry, give isekai a break."
Oh God, Kitty!
Can't say you're wrong there. That's the isekai have been a little overboard lately. I think this is why it's drifted so far into the absurdist category with this kind of stuff and the vending machine one, and I want to say there's another one in Korea where a man is reincarnated as a black child and grows up to be some type of sexually promiscuous man. It's quite bizarre. And so I think that this is exemplary of that anime bubble we heard about a few weeks ago where that company was buying through. Spencer did a report on it in that the anime industry is starting to feel a bit of the strain, I guess, of all that is out there, of all that is available. Sort of like how the housing market became so overburdened. Now comes the anime industry being so overburdened. However,
well, I mean, that's why you have the thing to remember is that they're outsourcing a lot of this stuff as well to get done. And that's why when we covered this a while ago, why a lot of Aniplex productions were delayed was because of COVID in China. So at least that's what my insider told me. But yeah, the other thing that they're starting to do is, and this is what my Aniplex insider told me a while ago, but they just announced the first of probably many, is they're doing NFTs. They've been planning to do, because you'll see stories about NFTs. They've been planning to do, Aniplex has been planning to do NFTs for, I want to say, at least 6 months now, maybe a little bit longer than that. But yeah, so not surprised by the NFT news. And you have Lycoris Recoil as the first one. But the auction is in yen, so yeah, it's not available outside of Japan, specifically for the Japanese market. And he wanted me to emphasize this because I'm trying to, help him out a little bit. That the money from the auctions goes to the creators.
Okay.
But they don't. But he didn't know until I mentioned it to him yesterday that the reason why Westerners have been given Aniplex a lot of crap about NFTs is partially because the NFT market crashed last year, so they're virtually worthless, at least in the West.
Well, recognized as worthless. They've been worthless all along, but now they're recognized.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you like NFTs. They're Beanie Babies to me. I'm sorry. I'm not up with it.
I know.
It looks like Beanie Babies to
I'm
me.
not a fan of
that's all.
NFTs either. I would rather have a physical thing, of an art piece than a digital version of it.
Well, and we have a PhD Joshua in the chat saying you might like Ranger Reject. That's what we call it around
I
here,
cover
not
Ranger
Go-Go.
Reject. I've been covering Ranger Reject on my channel, Nerdigans Inc., since chapter 1. And something that has become synonymous with my channel is I cover the mainstream before it becomes mainstream.
And then Infern24 says that been watching the Ranger Reject show, but it's kind of to me.
Yeah.
Prefer Common Rider anime to it. And you're right.
But here's the thing with Ranger Reject anime that I've been hearing more and more from people, and I'm starting to see it too, is that they cut out a lot of content from the manga.
Yes.
They did. Yep. So you gotta, if you want to enjoy the full experience of Ranger Reject, you gotta read the manga.
And that's what caused the show to be so meh, is that a great deal of what it communicates in comedy is actually meant to endear you as a fan to the tokusatsu genre. But the animators didn't feel confident in communicating all those jokes through because not everybody is a lifelong tokusatsu fan and familiar with those tropes and the comedy around them. So that's why they skipped quite a few of them, and thus the show has sort of it's like an overly serious show.
Yeah.
It's a teenager trying too hard to be edgy sometimes.
That's what happens in anime. It's been happening for, I want to say, at least the past 6 years it's been happening, is where anime is taking, series that have a mixture or have a balance of comedy and serious content, and just sucking the comedy out of it. Sailor Moon Crystal is a good example of this. Sailor Moon Crystal has a ton of comedy, or Sailor Moon manga, excuse me, has a ton of comedy in it. But the way Sailor Moon Crystal was done is they took a good chunk of the comedy out, so it felt like it was trying to take itself a little too seriously.
Well, and that's kind of the problem with these shows that want to take a page from The Boys.
Yeah.
I feel a lot of The Boys in the DNA of the Ranger Reject anime, not the manga.
Yeah.
You don't feel that Kirkman, I think it's Kirkman that wrote it, I could be wrong. But you don't feel that touch of that particular writer in the manga. However, in the anime, you are definitely feeling, what if Power Rangers was The Boys? And that's the vibe you get out of it. And
Negi Haruba is the mangaka, and it's still unbelievable that they went from writing Gotoba no Hanayome to Ranger Reject.
I want to blame Kirkman for it, Spencer. I'm sorry. It's Garth Ennis that did it, and I know that, but I just want to blame Kirkman for it because I keep forgetting. I read The Boys when I was a teenager, and I hated it, but I had to get through it because I wanted to understand just what the goal of it all was. And the only moral of the story is that everybody's a piece of poop. That's the moral of the story.
That's how it is in Ranger Reject too. To an extent, that's how it is in Ranger Reject as well. It's everyone is is complete shit. It is, but the way that Negi writes it, though, doesn't feel so cliche. It's a different take on the gray area of Sentai.
Well, you feel like D is going to migrate into being a hero, the true kind. You feel that, but unfortunately, the anime makes him so edgy. You feel like he's just there to like Batman them to death. That he's just
Yeah,
there
and
to
that's
kill
not true.
everybody and go home.
Nah, that takes away from his character because
Right.
he's in that gray area because he learns that it's not only the Sentai that are corrupt, it's also, you know, the stuff with the invaders, and what the invaders wanted to do is corrupt too. And and there's a part where he sees what the world would be like if the executives succeeded.
Well, it is, Spencer. They characterize him and X's as like they're insane out of the group. They're not wise. They're not like waking up to anything. They're the crazy ones. They're the ones that nobody likes. And so the anime sort of characterizes them as like uh Lelouch. D is definitely the Lelouch kind of character where he's calculating, plotting, learning, manipulating. Whereas in the manga, he is that on top of it, but all of the as you know, all of the Super Sentai tropes come out. So all this plotting and stuff has its proper atmosphere to make it seem as comedically dramatic as it is in the tokusatsu shows. It
Yeah,
doesn't come through in the anime. He
yeah,
just
Neki
looks like this.
understands it.
Yeah, he looks like a very plotting kind of character. So it's one of those things. Yeah, and you're right, PhD Joshua. The Boys is basically canceled. According to Kripke, it's jigs up. We're gonna get another season of it apparently, but that's the end of it. And I think it's lasted 3 seasons too long, honestly. So
Yeah.
I don't like the property, and I really don't like how people attach to it. It really annoyed me how people were like, "I want to be like Homelander." It was that whole "I want a marriage
Oh, it's
like
like
Harley
Magneto
and the
is right
Joker"
kind
thing.
of thing.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit worse than that. It's like it's a Harley Quinn and Joker romance thing that these
Mm.
twisted girls want. They want that untouchable psycho god status so they can kill and maim and do whatever they want and still be adored and loved for it. And
Yeah.
that's why Homelander is so like popular with people is he has that like I'll kill somebody in a grocery store line because they're annoying me power. And that's apparently what quite a few people want.
Well, it has to be written correctly because I like a good villain, but if it's just
Thanos.
like meh and it's just like just because it doesn't work.
Well, you know, speaking of what's not going to work, Street Fighter developer Capcom announces they will now consider hiring non-Japanese directors to their board of directors.
That could be
This is
very dangerous.
well, they're looking at leveling out percentages in their company. They want to bring up the female manager's position in this department, particularly not the fighting games department, but game production department, up
Mhm.
to 15%, where they have most of the other ones right there, like 21% is down. We'll skip down to the part where it talks about this.
Hold on, I got a very fussy kitty.
Right, sure. So I'll just explain this. And it says, turning back to the original question regarding female managers, currently 21% of employees are female and 13% of our core talent is female. We are aiming to bring the percentage of female managers up to 15%. These are project managers. And so while this is okay and a good idea to, because Japan, believe it or not, has a labor market crisis. So yeah, you kind of have to put people wherever their aptitude will let them. Unfortunately, what Capcom keeps going on about sounds an awful lot like Disney's DEI requirements, where the law or our investors or whoever's paying us the most is telling us that somebody who doesn't look like me needs to be in that job. And that seems to be the only qualifier that they're talking about here. We're not hearing in this direction about like what kind of Westerners they're looking for. They're looking for people who are obviously qualified, obviously. They're not looking for some, you know, like a sailboat construction expert to come in and make their fighting games, obviously. But they're very focused on leveling out their numbers with this, and they're very focused on making sure that they embrace what I call American style diversity. And what I mean by that is the commercial diversity. Think Gap ad. Think the average Power Rangers team, where an
Yeah.
unlikely group of racially mixed children, middling aged children, are
Yeah.
gathering together and having no discrepancy between their backgrounds. So, and this is what yeah, exactly. RJ McReady says DEI didn't earn it. Yeah, that's the case. And that's what we're looking at here. And unfortunately, this is an example of what the Western investors are able to accomplish. They can't get ESG to work in Japan. They
No.
can't get laws passed to force these social changes through media like they have in the US. So what do? They just buy up the freaking companies. They buy their way into the boardroom and then institute these changes while holding gobs of money that are required to run the company hostage.
That's what people don't understand, because people are like, we need this to crash and burn. It's like, it's kind of like, since we were talking about Ranger Reject, it's like with Ranger Reject, where where D is like, okay, I got to destroy everything. But it's like, no, it's more complicated than that. You got to go from within the company, or in this case, the organization, to see what's going on and to get rid of the corruption that's happening.
Correct. It's not as easy as going in and just being like, let's fire all these people, because that's not the case. That's not the problem.
It's the same thing with localizations. You could get rid of the localizer, but there's more people that are approving these localizations. Like, you got to look at the editors. You got to look at management. You got to look at everything.
Mm-hmm. We saw this play out with the DEI detected style with Cabrutus, where they started listing all these DEI games, and almost immediately the studios started going out of business. Just bang. As soon as people could be aware these products had all of this sort of political messaging in it and propaganda, as Jim Shooter called it a few days ago.
Yeah.
As soon as word got out that you had a repository, like a library of people telling you, like, no, this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. Those companies went out of business. There was not even like breathing room, and they went out of business. And this is what's going to happen to Capcom if they push too hard into this. And
here's the other thing though, that's why I'm like, it's a double-edged sword, just depends. Because you look at, like, say, Toei with what they did with One Piece, and they're bringing overseas animators. And it's just not just American that you got to look at. It's overseas, and what Hosono said, for the editor-in-chief of, now Manga Plus, former of Jump Plus. But he said that when we talk about overseas, we're not talking about the U.S. We're talking about outside of Japan. So Europe, Latin America, Australia. So they could be looking elsewhere too, not just the US. They could be looking at France and getting some design or people from there, because everyone in Japan, I think, knows at this point in the industry, knows that France is where is their second biggest market outside of Japan. So that's why I'm like, you gotta take that into account too.
We do have a story that broke just a couple days ago about a Cartoon Network employee. This is Kyle Carosa.
Oh yes, I know about this. He got busted with child porn. Yep. And I know that there were stories of him manipulating and harassing younger people too. But yeah, seeing that though, from what his victims said, because I've seen some of his victims like comment on this, they were so happy because of that he is finally getting the justice he deserves.
So this guy apparently has, I'm sorry, that grayed out, 16 terabytes of illegal child abuse content. He was found guilty of having been in possession of 16 terabytes. I want to remind you that a single terabyte is large enough to hold what probably your household DVD collection in, like, I don't know, 1080 4K resolution, very high resolution. A terabyte is a massive amount of storage space, okay? A massive amount of data. So much bigger than a gigabyte. It's not even, it's on the order of millions in the difference of their capabilities here. And that's 16 terabytes of child abuse content that this guy's been found guilty of being in possession of.
And from what I heard too, he was going after people, he was going after lolicons, frankly. And this happens every single time. Every time you see some like a person like this go after like anime characters and stuff like that, they end up being the ones that are the pedos, which I think is absolutely hilarious.
How about that?
Yeah, those that can't separate reality from fiction are usually the ones that are the ones doing more behind the scenes.
Now, the reason why I bring this up is because of what's in the background behind him. Okay, he's
Mhm.
got the Kamen Rider Drive party masks on, and apparently some crude drawings of tokusatsu heroes in here that he either bought and hung up himself or drew himself, one or the other. But this is really bad. Okay, I know I don't need to tell you that, but this is exemplary of who's been educating children of America. This is exemplary of who's informing the morality of American children. And I think we need to have like our like, you know, alert systems turned all the way up to high going forward. I think the minute you find anything in media that you think is sus, if you will, suspicious, sus,
Yeah.
if you sense some sussy baka behavior, it's time to turn that off. If Junior wants to keep watching it, you can tell him he can watch it when he starts paying his own bills and taxes. Until then, we're going back to Sesame Street. I don't care if he's 15. It would do him some good to get back. I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know. Old Sesame Street before other people got involved and wanted to teach kids about AIDS.
Or Mr.
with Sesame
Rogers'
Street.
Neighborhood. Like
Yeah,
old
right.
school.
There you go. Listen to the Vietnam sniper. He knows how to be nice to people. And that's just it, is that like this going forward, like it's not even, AI is going to make it even harder to differentiate between these weirdos and what they're up to. So by all means, please go out there, and the minute you find something that you know children shouldn't be involved in, start talking about it. The worst that happens is you maybe have misinterpreted something. But on the other end of that, you might be calling attention to a fellow before he can amass 16 terabytes worth of child abuse content. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. Yeah, Kirby's right. He says, I mean, look at him. Yeah, well,
He looks like
again,
a goblin.
yeah, when a fella, you know, when you post pictures of yourself like this, I don't care if you're a cartoonist.
He looks
Just
like a
don't look like the
troll.
don't look like the cartoons you draw. Pro tip: don't look like the cartoons you draw. You know.
Well, unless they're pretty cartoons, then that's a totally different story.
Yep. And this, yeah, Mr. Rogers in a bloodstained sweater. Yeah, yep. That's the ultimate showdown. Who was the ultimate victor there? Yep. But this is the problem that we're facing going forward, is that we're going to see more of this come out. As we know, Hollywood is chock full of it. Well, guess what? So is whatever animation Hollywood is, and even more so.
Yeah, and we saw it with Hollywood, with Nickelodeon, with what happened there with Dan Snyder and them.
Yeah,
So
that's another guy that's a whole other basket case there, and it's that's evolving as we speak. He's trying to sue these people that exposed him into oblivion for defamation, and it's getting pretty hard to prove that there was anything not true being said there. Is the problem he's running into. But
yeah,
the we are lucky though that the Japanese are. Oh no, I forget where I put this. Hold on. Oops. Sorry, I just store my tabs in weird places on accident. So I want to share this one with you guys. This is one of those heartwarming ones, by the way. So it will end the Tokyo
Oh
happy hour on
yeah,
a good
I
note.
saw this.
5 years after KyoAni, Kyoto Animation, burned down after a disgruntled employee went and had a ball, I guess, you know, got revenge on people that didn't deserve it, by the way. 5 years after that, and 5 years after the demolition of the studio itself, a memorial to these people will be erected in a Japanese historical park only a few steps away from the animation studio's former location.
That's
And yeah, and again, this was put on by the survivors, the families of survivors, and the company itself, the remnants of the company itself. And this is meant to serve as a reminder to people. It's not so much to be a finger waggle about this guy killing people. It's meant to be a reminder, a celebration of what Kyoto Animation was able to accomplish in the time that they were around. And of course, the staff members that were there are meant to be memorialized and immortalized through this as well. It's not meant to be like a boohoo, don't burn down your coworkers kind of thing. It's meant to be a memorial to just how accomplished and talented the people were that worked there. So
It's just so sad. This whole thing is so sad. But at least dude got the death penalty, so or
Yeah.
he's sentenced to death, excuse me. So he is
Right.
going to die.
Yep, and they're pretty creative about it. So, but again, like this, the whole thing was a mess, front to back. This fellow was having a lot of trouble, and for whatever reason, his bosses didn't take him out of rotation. And because he felt he wasn't being rewarded for his work, he decided to, I believe he took gasoline and went through the lower floor and burned everybody up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then that was it. That was all she wrote for those people. I think it was 33 staff members that lost their lives in the attack, and his only excuse was, I was not being acknowledged as the genius that I
Wait,
was.
there's people celebrating the KyoAni fire incident on Twitter.
Sure.
I'm trying to remember if I remember
There
they
were a lot of people that were upset about the Dragon Maid because
Oh yeah, it's
because
those
of her being
mothballs.
a what is that,
Oh
new half? Is that
god.
what they call them?
They think that which one is it? They think that Dragon Maid is pedophilic.
Right.
And that this could have been a sweet Yuri anime, but the fan service.
It is what it is. Japan's got a different culture, and that's why these people are celebrating it. Though, is that we live in a world where people travel in extremes, particularly in the West, and folks who didn't like the choices, like we talked about shippers earlier.
Yeah.
So folks that wanted a Dragon Maid to be in a lesbian relationship, but didn't end up in that, instead had a bunch of fan service, decided it was okay to celebrate the deaths of 33 staff members of Kyoto Animation.
These people, I swear. But then there's the Genshin Impact people. Oh my god. I have never seen a group of people be this racist before, especially in like a blackwashing situation like this. And I've seen my fair share of it because I've covered it with fan art and stuff like that, where people were bitching about like characters being drawn to white. But this is just on a whole nother level.
So, if you don't know, Genshin Impact right now is dealing with a contingency of American teenagers and maybe a little younger than that, as well as early college students who are upset that various cultures from around the world had some aesthetic visuals and icons borrowed from them to create these characters who do not have the skin color that is associated most generically with those countries and locations, such as, South America, Africa, and I believe the Pacific Islands here. And so these people have put together a petition to call out MiHoYo, the HoYoverse subsidiary.
Yeah.
They produce the Genshin Impact. They are based they're based in China. And this is about to hit 100,000 signatures from people who probably don't have driver's licenses.
Or don't play the game either.
There's always that. These geniuses are also the group of people that thought, well, if we don't pay for the game but still play it, that'll stress out their servers.
Oh, dead serious. These people believe a boycott for Genshin Impact consists of just switching to free to play. It's like, no, that's not how it works. Stop.
Well, and again, I mean, we're also looking at like a Chinese company that services a mostly Asian demographic. The largest player base of Genshin Impact is in Japan. And as you know, with the Japanese anime aesthetic, they are not concerned with people of a darker complexion.
No.
And so this is what Genshin Impact is following. It's following the aesthetic of anime, which again promotes the Asian skin tones. These are tend to be lighter than African skin tones, tend to be lighter than South American skin tones. This is just what they're doing. This is again the audience that they service. This is what that audience prefers, and this is what they're providing to them. Our good friends who are participating in this boycott They believe that the Koreans have the right idea, where they're adding these various different diversity higher characters, if you will. And again, there
Mhm.
may be a lot of like passion and interest in these characters, but we all understand why they're being put in there, and that's to appeal to an American audience that's warped upside down and backwards with its ideas. And so that's what we're dealing with here is these kids that are so backwards in their belief that they want to tell a bunch of Chinese video game developers that they're racist because of their preference in the video game that they made. That's the state of this right
I mean,
now.
look at the comments for the petition. You'll see how weird these people are. It is just wild.
Yep. See, stop whitewashing. It's ridiculous how bad this has gotten, how much we're ignored. Well, you're children. Get used to it. It happens. You know, I have bad news for you. Fijo, if you're a dude, it's going to get even worse with people ignoring you once you're an adult.
And also, China doesn't have access to change.org either.
Correct. So they can't even see how angry you are. Their government doesn't care. This issue is so important. HVY, this is Hoyoverse. They need to add proper people of color and representation. No, they don't. They're a Chinese corporation that are under no legal obligation to abide by that. And I'll remind people who are potentially tuning in because we're talking about this. China's full of Chinese, okay? Just the same as Japan's full of Japanese. And Korea, believe it or not, it's full of Koreans. Maybe not for long. They are dwindling in number, but it's full of Koreans right now. At least Seoul is full of
Yeah.
Koreans. And it may just surprise people to learn that the United States is an incredibly unique place on Earth with its racial demographic makeup. Most nations on Earth are like a monoculture. They're a mono race, you know? So
For the most part. Well, then you got like south of the border, which is a mixture of races in terms of skin tone. Like there's
sure.
I know someone that's Panamanian and is black. So you wouldn't think he was from Africa, but not. And Brazilians have a lot of light skinned people too. So it's just like when I see this and they're saying that it's that they need to add more melanin and stuff like that. I'm like, no, I mean,
Well, take a look at this. This is obviously written by a young person. I'm gonna guess that they're in high school because listen to how this goes. It is not hard to represent cultures actively reflecting their peoples. Just make their skin darker and consult with representatives of these communities to have them depicted respectfully and correctly, and stop lightening the skin of already darker characters each time you draw them. Looking at Kea, we are not blind. We notice now.
lighting is a thing though.
Well, this is the thing is that they don't have the same artist drawing this stuff. You have to understand, like, and
Yeah.
you know this. If it's not like, if it's not Kubo drawing Bleach, if it's not Oda drawing One Piece, the characters are wildly different.
Oh,
And
oh yeah. The only
and
one
it's
where it's like, I would say the best example of where it's like perfect, like 1-to-1 is Gintama the Final, but that's because Srirachi drew it.
well, and again, what I'm getting at is that as they hire more artists to draw these characters, you're going to see their skin tones change. And also lighting is different for these different art pieces as well. And what they usually point to is these skin tone changes aren't actually graphics from the game, they're from promotional images.
Yep. And then they
But
decide to edit it and fix it and then make caricatures out of
this
it.
I want to attract your attention to this statement though that was really telling. Just make their skin darker. So instead of whitewashing, blackwash. That's easy. Don't make a new character. Don't do that. Go in there and take those already existing pretty characters and change their skin tone to the color that these people want, not the color that the creators of the game want. That's the only complaint here. There's nothing else to this. Just make their skin darker.
It's
That's
so
it.
racist. They don't
It
realize that
really
they're
is.
being racist either. That's the thing
No,
that's funny. And then look at the next one right there.
this
That
big one.
yeah.
I didn't read all that. Anyway, so Angie, the absolute adult here, says adding darker skin colors doesn't hurt anyone. Sure, they won't get the same amount of attention as before, but
That
Hoyo,
sounds like hurting someone.
as a company are already known as a terrible company here. So hold on, wait a minute. So you're telling me that the adding diversity is going to make it worse for them? That they're going to be in a worse standing by doing? Is that what the logic is here? I'm not even done. This is the first of the run-on sentence we've got here, and so anyway, here because of what they have done and how they haven't listened to us before, as a fellow Asian, Chinese Asian. My parents were born in China while I was born here. What's a Chinese Asian? What is that?
I think they
Where
mean
were you
Chinese
born?
American.
Yeah, I hope so. You know, but I don't know what a Chinese Asian is. You have to help me with that one. But you know, it's like a melon person. You know, like Brian the melon person. You know, there's very few of those melon people out there. Not enough melon representation. But anyway, as I also find it kind of insulting considering this is a Chinese game from a Chinese company, I have seen how they only listen to Chinese side of the community.
What do you want? It's made in China and it's catering to China. What do you want? These people, that's what I mean. These people are so stupid.
I want to point out that China is the second most populous nation on the planet, trailed only by India. Okay?
Yep.
And so if Hoyoverse wants to make money, they're going to appeal to the largest demographic on the planet. Right? But anyway, have seen how they only listen to Chinese side of the community because that's what matter, obviously. But if they want more people to play their game and spend money on them, they need to step up and make a change themselves, and starting with listening to even, please give me a punctuation mark. Oh my gosh. Listening to even their end side, I assume that's English, side contains people of so many different races of color and all with different background and family culture. Are you sure you were born here? I don't know. I get the feeling that maybe English isn't your first language. Angie, the totally real adult, the Chinese Asian adult. I love that. Hopefully I'll meet a Chinese person. I live in Maine, right? So not a lot of Chinese people hanging out here. Hopefully I'll meet a Chinese person someday and I can ask, have you ever heard of a Chinese Asian before? Just curious. You ever hear that before?
You heard of a Japanese Asian? Like,
yeah, a Korean Asian, a Korasian maybe, a Japasian, a Chinasian.
These people are just so dumb. Like you lose brain. Like I posted this in the Slack too, that there's a they made a card, you know, one of those internet cards on the protest, and it is so dumb. Oh my god. I don't know if you could find it in the Slack or not. Oh, worst comes to worst, I could grab it. But like these people are so stupid on like what this is about, their history of it. And like I'm dying. So, no, not that one. It's a different one. But I'll grab the link. But that's a few of the comments. But yeah, it's really, really dumb.
Morgan's went and found some spectacular examples of the genius at work here. And Andre Cordero, Andre Cordero. I think I got it right. Anyway, cultural representation matters. How are you going to use the name of African and Latin American gods and deities and give them to characters pale as a ghost? Does anybody remember Hades 2? Anybody remember the cast of Hades 2? They look a little different than how they did in the Greek tales. I'm just trying to find a image of them all together. Hades 2 characters. You remember they made oh gosh. I'm sorry guys, my brain's blanking now that I'm trying to do 6 things at once. I'm very sorry. But they did. They race swapped.
I posted the boycott card in the chat. I found it.
Yep. Okay. Well, I'm having darndest time because Google likes to sweep up this DEI headache for these idiots.
I'm having a hard time because Zeno is being a pain in the ass. Cat, stop being a pain.
Everybody's got problems. So this is the Greek gods. These are Greek gods according to Hades. Now you notice they don't look too Greek, do they? You know? And it gets worse. They make it worse. I just can't find anything because Google is the most useless search platform on the planet. I'm not really sure why they keep it alive. They honestly should just pull the plug on this mess of a platform and just call it a day, call it quits. Like, whoops, we should have never have tried to compete against Elon. Our foolish hearts. Anyway, this is Hestia, the goddess of the flame, the goddess of the hearth. And she's supposed to be Greek. Remember that? Remember that? And then the Genshin kids are like, nah, that can't be real. Nah, we got to make sure that these characters who are supposed
You
to
gotta
be
make sure
black
they're black because there was black people in Greece. Like, oh my god, these people piss me off. You have no idea.
What am I looking at here? This is a lot of nonsense. What am I looking
Oh,
at?
the boycott card. This is the official. It's like the official boycott webpage. It's so.
It's made by
dumb.
children.
Yes, it obviously is made by children at this point. But you gotta look at each tab. It's just it gets dumber. Like the FAQ it explains in the frequently asked questions about the boycott and why they go free to play. It is the dumbest thing.
Okay, so is your group qualified to talk about this issue, or are you BIPOC? Okay, so I'm not allowed to talk about this. Sorry, we're gonna have to wait till Jacob shows up so we can talk about it. But yes, are we? Yes, we are a very diverse group of mostly adults.
Mostly
I don't
adults.
believe you. I don't believe you. Who are either Black, Indigenous, or people of color, or are supporters of the boycott. Wait, so you're not BIPOC then? Anyway, we are all in different countries and speak a wide variety of language. Well, what the hell does that have to do with anything? Anyway, I've signed a petition, but I want to help out more. What can I do? Throw Molotovs through windows, obviously. It's the only solution now. But contacting customer support, emailing them, or review bombing their games and other.
I checked the Google Play Store. They are review bombing it, and some of the comments there are so dumb.
Didn't we just get through like 4 months of people complaining about review bombing the Acolyte and review bombing the Marvel movies and things like
and Helldivers.
Now you have to do that in order to help BIPOC. Isn't that interesting? That's the way you can help us out. So quite literally throwing a Molotov through the window of these people. What is the overall signature goal and what will happen when it's reached? Now, this should be good. This should be really good. Once our goal reaches 100,000 signatures, we will be sharing the petition. Huh?
They're coming when they don't get change.org in China.
We will be sharing the petition. Aren't you already sharing it? What is that? Anyway, plus a full press kit. Okay. All right. This is starting to sound a little Soros-y now. Full press kit that we have created and written to cultural and indigenous ambassadors, news outlets, and possibly legal advisors. Oh, goody. I hope the ACLU gets involved.
They will laugh in your face.
Southern Poverty Law Center is going to be all over this. You wait. And possibly, to allow them to help us on a higher scale than we are. What? Help us on a higher scale than we are. Mostly adults, everybody.
Mostly adults.
Is it okay to buy resold official Hoyoverse merchandise? Since resellers have already bought the merchandise before you, buying merchandise that is resold is okay. That is as long as Hoyoverse makes no profit off of the purchase. Big galaxy brains here. Like, you're literally bargaining with children. This is the bargaining of children. Like, well, seeing as how, like, it's not dinner time yet, can I have a cookie? It's not dinner time yet, so I can't spoil dinner because dinner's not ready, right? So the cookie would be okay. Nobody gets hurt, right?
Yeah.
This is the bargaining of a child. Like, I want to play the game.
Wild. No, it gets even dumber. Like,
so can I commission fan creation or pay a person to pilot my account?
I'm telling you.
So they've now created a secondary economy for Hoyoverse, okay? You're hiring another group of people to play the game, which increases the play hours, increases the population of active players, and then also you're playing into what they're doing with their raids, their meetups, their different events that they're happening.
Fucking stupid.
Wow, this is some genius level stuff. I hope they consulted Sun Tzu's Art of War for this, because
I told you, I lost brain cells looking at this. You have no idea.
why should I support this movement that suddenly appeared now? The members of our group have all advocated for change to be made regarding the game since
Sumeru.
How that was like 3 back? Right?
That was a while ago, yeah.
Yeah, but we all did this individually, and little was done because of it. Little's going to be done because of this
boycott
too.
failed so hard. This one is probably going to as well.
Well, 100,000 is nothing. There's 66 million active players on Genshin Impact right now, and that's a low estimation. That's based on last year, by the way.
Yeah.
Few outside our own circles even know this was happening, evidently. Yeah, because nobody cared. They were like, oh, sweet, there's a new Genshin Impact expansion. These bitches are hot. And that was as deep as it went.
Yeah.
It has been wrong for years, but our tactic has changed. Yeah, now we're just going to start harassing people that'll listen to us as opposed to the people that won't. That's great. Big brains, guys, big brains.
Big brains.
So, almost there. We're almost there, guys. So it says, is this backlash for Natlan's teaser stronger and louder compared to when Sumeru was announced? We think that this time, since we are a larger team behind the boycott who are staying in communication with each other, that we will be able to achieve this and we will have change. Since Sumeru, we had died out, Natlan was, for a lot of people, the last straw. This is why Natlan's teaser has been attracting way more attention in this matter, even though the same thing happened in Sumeru. We just have to keep pushing. Push on! Workers of the world unite. Yeah, here we go. The team is working hard on many things behind the scenes. Like what? It's a boycott. What the hell are you working? You're going to do a 1,000,000-man march on Washington about this?
Oh, God. And then, like, when you're done with this, that demands list, oh, my God.
Yeah, right. Scenes that will hopefully help the situation, get to see the situation evolve. Now, we get to the free-to-play part. This is the thing that I was laughing at earlier with Nerdigans. Blows my mind.
It's so stupid.
This is a boycott, by the way. I don't think these kids know what the definition of a boycott is.
No, they don't.
So they say, why is the boycott voiced to only be free to play and not to fully quit the games? We have seen this going around a lot. Hoyoverse makes their games free to play by default. The only way they earn any income is when players make in-game purchases. Pause.
That's not how it works.
No, that is not how it works. They data mine you, by the way. So they are selling your data regardless if you're interacting with the game or not. Every 10-cent app is pulling location data out of you. That was proven a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And so what they do now is they sell that stuff. Also, your participation in the game keeps the player numbers up. So anybody that's looking to invest in this company sees 66 million people live this very second and goes, wow, I should get in on this. There's 66 million people playing. It doesn't say 66 million paying players are playing. No. Okay? And the last thing I'll say about this is that while you're out there still playing the game, doing your stuff, interacting with other players, unless you're going around there and making sure every statement you make and every absolute interaction with this is somehow labeled with the hashtag boycott this situation going on, boycott Hoyoverse, right? It's not going to have the effect. You're just another player. All right? So we'll go on. It says, if people went free to play, it would hurt them financially to gain zero profit, making it hard to keep the servers for the games up and online.
Nope, they're wrong.
66 million players, guys, and you've got 100,000 signatures. Apparently they don't teach math in school anymore. I'm not even good at it. Yeah, math is racist. You're right. If this were to not cease, then yes, we would have encouraged people to stop playing the game. So there you go. And Jacob's here, so now we can officially talk about this and not get into trouble. How about that?
Do
But
you
those
need me to drop an N word here, there? Is that what needs to go on?
No, it says here at the beginning, is your group qualified to talk about this issue / are you BIPOC? And I was like, nope, not me.
I still don't know what BIPOC is. That just sounds like some made up bullshit to me.
It sounds like a disease, you know?
It does.
I got the BIPOC. They ain't known if it can be cured.
The doctor told me I've been diagnosed with stage 3 BIPOC.
It's terminal, man. Apparently, I've had it my whole life.
But
We're having a BIPOC rally to celebrate all the people who.
I had a BIPOC outbreak.
You had a BIPOC outbreak. Like, yeah, right. There's a little kid. He's like, I got the BIPOCs. I can't come to school.
Oh yeah,
Billy's
that's what
mom.
it is. But Ryan pointed it out. I think it's Black Indigenous person of color. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it means. But it's just what?
We already have the term victim. You could have just used that and made it a lot simpler.
Then there's the demands for this thing, and it's just like, what?
Where was the list of demands again?
It's under the demands tab on the website. It says demands list.
Over there at the psychopath suite that they've got.
Well, while you're looking up the list real quick, I just want to say something completely unrelated as I just joined the show here. I had an amazing dinner tonight. I had chorizo and garlic bread, which you think is a off combination, but put together, it's actually not that bad at all.
Yeah.
I agree, huh, kitties?
Yeah, well, and again, like you go back and then you have like when you have a dessert after that of like one of those graham cracker crust
No
pies,
peanut butter cookies.
Okay, you got me. That goes smooth. After that spicy stuff. You got that. Yeah. Yeah. Mitch Ryan guesses it. He says the Black Indigenous person of color. Unfortunately, this isn't the SJW bingo, so you don't win a prize. But good guess. Nailed it.
Right, kitties?
Yeah, isn't BIPOC Tupac's special needs little brother? It could be. Oh, that's funny because bi means two and Tupac.
Yeah.
So it's that's clever.
It's his bisexual brother, also known as Tupac.
My taste buds are jaded. Bah, whatever. I live in the north. Salt's the spice, and we boil everything. So
yeah, it's not great.
Yeah. Infern 24. Did you hear about Dragon Ball and the rights dispute going on before and after Toriyama's passing? I see.
I swear, if Disney buys the rights to Dragon Ball, like
you're not going to. No. It's Tokyo Capsule Corp, which is a company that was made before Toriyama died.
Okay. I'm about to say, like, if you want your studio to burn down, that'd be a good way to do it. Not saying that I would do it, but
they have the rights to Bleach, and Bleach is doing just fine. But
maybe we don't talk about burning down animation studios.
Who said you think about the animation studio?
Oh, okay. They're studio apartments. All right.
Yes.
But so Spencer and Josh will not be joining us tonight. Josh is busy spelunkying into caves in the Chilean jungles, searching for ancient gaming artifacts. And Spencer, I believe, is on the dark side of the moon, telecommunicating to us with his brain. So
great. So that means I get to control the show tonight. Yes, it's all mine.
We already talked about P. Diddy getting involved in the Tupac case and getting nailed for.
Well, when people just now figured out that he's the one that got Tupac shot, like we've known that for like 30 years.
When you say we, is this the BIPOC
the general we, not just like the Black Twitter we. I mean, like just kind of like in general.
That's the word I was looking for. Black Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Twitter. But yeah, so that's you can run the show if you want. We're gonna talk about Assassin's Creed next. So.
Well, I'll let you guys go ahead on that one because I think I told you guys last time we covered this topic. The last Assassin's Creed game that I played was Revelation. I don't even remember what year that game came out. All I remember is I think that was the last one I played on the PS3. So it's been a while.
Yeah, well, not much has changed. It's still pretty rough. But,
well, minus the gay stuff, but
minus or plus, however you want to look at it. I don't think it's a plus as in it's positive, but it's plussed in there. That's for sure. But
do you guys remember? I know Nerdigans should know this, sadly, but Nerdigans, remember the old theme song to that TV show was a Queer Eye for the Straight Guy?
Yes.
Like, I feel like every time we talk about anything gay related, we should just like play that song in the background. That's the only way to sell it.
No, it should be the Crab People remix version of it.
Oh yeah, that's even worse. Yeah.
So, if you don't know, Assassin's Creed Ubisoft, they decided to put out a statement acknowledging that the Japanese are upset about their, not so great behavior
It's a
regarding.
fake apology, let's be real. Even
Right.
the Japanese knew that.
I'm sorry, do we make real apologies anymore? I didn't think that was a thing.
Corporations being honest. That's adorable.
Mm-hmm. But do we all go to the Chris Titan school of making an apology?
I don't know who Chris Titan is.
Oh, you mean the Mr. Beast?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that one, that Chris. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You should say Mr. Beast tranny, and then I'll know what you're
Okay.
talking about. It's just,
I mean, I'm sorry, Cider. I mean, you were only on the show for like the last 30 minutes of last night when we talked about the whole thing.
It's true. Biden was there the rest of the time, and
okay, that makes sense now.
yeah. See, I'm a method actor, so if I'm going to play a man with dementia, I develop dementia in order to make the part.
I don't break character to the DVD commentary.
Break characters. But so Grums was kind enough to translate this for us because I don't have the patience to go through and read all this political gobbledygook that they invented. So thankfully, Grums came through and said, here's some dev talk for you guys to understand. And so they open up here and they say, First, we want to express our heartfelt thanks for all your support for the Assassin's Creed series, which has its own history spanning almost 20 years. I'm doing a British accent because I don't feel like doing a French one. My French turns into German, and I feel like that insults somebody. So, and so Grums translates, and he says, "We're scared. Nobody's pre-ordering. Please support us, please." And
No.
they go on and they make more excuses. Blah blah blah. Third Crusade, Vikings, really nice for you. And they say, for many of our team, creating an Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan has been a long cherished dream. And what I have to point out is Ubisoft's a multi-billion-dollar multinational corporation. Nothing was stopping them from doing this 10 years ago when this project was initiated. Okay?
Yeah.
Grums says this, we're passionate devs, not a soulless corporation. Really, guys, believe us. It's like we're an indie group, right? We're an indie developer. You guys love indies, don't you? And so they go on and they say, like, we have some criticism, including you, our Japanese players. Oh, yes, we're very concerned about you. That's why we're pillaging your culture. And we share your passion for history and deeply respect your care for the historical and cultural integrity of your rich heritage. It says, we've barely had any complaints. That's why we're issuing this huge, long-winded apology. Nobody's saying anything, guys. We're loved. But we need to say this. We need to acknowledge this. But nothing's wrong. But we do need to let you know that there's some problems. Nothing's wrong, though. I love this, the double talk.
Everything's fine.
And so down here, Grums further elaborates on what they're saying in the second paragraph, and he says, "This is why we stole so much art from you, why we mashed Chinese and Japanese culture together, and apparently some Myanmar farming fields as well. And a highway ended up in feudal Japan, complete with a car and guardrails. Yeah, complete with a car and guardrails. Yeah, right there. Gotta love it when they just generate an AI picture and decide to charge hundreds of dollars for it. Great.
Yeah, and people bitch about AI all the time, but no, it's okay if Ubisoft does it. Either that, or they just don't know. They're
special and beautiful, with all that blue hair. It says, this is why we stole so much art and mashed Chinese and Japanese cultures together and put a black gay samurai in our game. We respect you guys. The respect for you, the Japanese people. We love you. Give us money. And that's, he goes on and he further translates. And they go on and they stress just how important it was for them to hire historians for this era, cultural consultants to really hone in on what they're talking about. And also, they even go as far as saying that they went to Ubisoft Japan to try and get some ground level opinion on what was going on. And so,
by the way, I do want to point this out. Someone is accusing Ubisoft of using DeepL to translate the English version into Japanese.
Yeah, why not? They seem that makes perfect sense, for this company. They've done everything else. I'm surprised they're not just lifting anime scripts completely and just copy and pasting those in. So Grums translates for us and he says, "We spared no expense. We hired a non-historian woman who wrote about man-boy love in feudal Japan because we respect Japan. We've stolen so much art, but that shows love. We even used that sword from that One Piece show. You guys love anime, right?" Yeah. And so he goes on and translates again. He says, "Please ignore the last two paragraphs about us talking about all the historians we hired and the cultural commentators we hired and all the, the Japanese people we were talking to. That doesn't matter. We're a fantasy game." And it says, "Please ignore the last two paragraphs. We totally didn't mean it. This is a fantasy because we just hired the historians and researchers and Respect Japan and marketed that way for months with our man-boy love historian and fraud Thomas Lockley." It means nothing, guys. This is a fantasy. It's fake. It's not real. That's why we hired all these people, because they're just fun to party with. You wouldn't believe how great Thomas Lockley is at breakdancing. You get that guy on his back and he's... probably shouldn't have said that. We have a bumper for that now. We have a bumper. Na, 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 na. Forget I said that.
Memory hole.
Yeah.
We should do a bumper that's just like literally just memory hole. It's like,
yeah, right. That movie, that video of from the early 2000s of all those people just jumping into the pit. It was like that insurance commercial where all those people were jumping into the pit.
Oh yeah.
And it's like just like Marvel, Disney, Lego, and they're just all jumping into the pit. Once again, the third time in this apology, we are telling you we hired the best historians and researchers, but we are totally not marketing this as a historical game, guys.
But that's bullshit. I found it in the Famitsu article where it was too, that they straight up said to a Japanese publication, Famitsu, they said that this was the importance of having a black historical figure, and I'm just like, you really are just admitting this. You're admitting that you are saying that with the importance of having a historical figure, but yeah, you can't just have a samurai, and it kind of goes against Assassin's Creed anyway, because Assassin's Creed has always been about playing as a character inside of the universe and not an actual historical person.
So Ubisoft acknowledges that there's problems. They say, despite our sustained efforts, we acknowledge some of the elephants,
major
in our promotional materials have caused concern within the Japanese community. Much like Chinese Asian, what the hell is a Japanese community? That's a race of people in a country. Whoa, it's not a community. It's not a neighborhood. This isn't Little Tokyo that's raising hell about your game. Are you telling me the entire nation of Japan? I wish it was, but are you telling me the entire nation of Japan is concerned about this game? I don't think so. I'd like to have that, but I don't think so.
No.
And
it's something we're going to war over.
Yeah, right. And so this then Grums translates and he says, actually, our CEO and staff called Elon Musk and gamers racist, hateful bigots and said you were all fake Japanese pretending to be mad. But hey, bygones be bygones. Get that game. Buy that game. Really, please, we need you. But they go on and they say, based on constructive criticism we have received, we will continue our efforts until we put this game in your hands and beyond. I don't know what that means. They going to put it up your butt? Probably. Look, we hear you. We won't change anything because we ship in 3 months, but we will work hard to ship on time and put this turd in your hands before you can realize that we effed up. Kind of like what happened with the Suicide Squad game. But this is all well and good, right? This is all well and good. Thanks Ubisoft, thanks Grums for all of your help here. But I do want to go back over here to what happened as a fallout from this. A lot of people missed this. But thankfully, we had some brave screenshotters and archivers out there. IGN decided that Yasuke wasn't actually a legendary samurai after all. He wasn't even a historical black samurai. You'll note in the green text here, it says, the game's male protagonist, a samurai based on the historical black samurai Yasuke, right? So this is IGN talking about the game, and now, oh no.
Oh no! What happened? Oh no! How terrible! That's just awful! How terrible! Oh no!
Oh no, what happened? Oh no.
So as you can see here, due to limited historical evidence, there is no conclusive proof as to if Yasuke was a samurai, a retainer, or just some jackass. I love this so much. Like, these people were just like, you're a bigot. You're a racist. How dare you question the authority of the Japanese when they had a black samurai before we even existed as a country? And then, whoops, nah, we don't really know for sure.
Yeah, right.
Whoops. I love this. It's like instant karma. It's the instant karma game, and I love it so much. Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, no. What happened? Oh, that's terrible. What could have happened here? Gotta remember, when you're Scottish, you gotta go. They like that. The Scottish like the. But so do the Spanish. I wonder, huh? Maybe at one point, Scotland and Spanish, yes. I'm just gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. Scotland and Spanish.
I just had to
The
pull
great
up.
country of Spanish. Yep.
I had to pull
love
it up
those
in front of me.
Spanishans. You have what?
I had to pull up my thread so I have it here. But some of the Japanese tweets I found is one of them said, it's funny that there are external consultants, historians, researchers, and Ubi Japan employees all on those tatami mats. Are there really no Japanese people among them?
Yeah. I found a husband and wife duo that talked about this on YouTube. She is native born and he is from America, and then went back to Japan, met her there. Anyway.
Oh, I'm going to send you the link to my thread because I forgot that I had, I found something very interesting about the website Assassin's Creed Shadow someone posted. Let me just put this in the chat.
Okay. Well, this all comes as Ubisoft's stock market goes tumbling down. As we can see, is still on its downward trend. We'll go ahead and take a look at the 6 month, and wow.
Didn't we wipe out like $1 trillion in the stock market today? Wasn't it bad?
Yeah. And Ubisoft was part of that. By the way, Ubisoft, $4.05 now to get into their stock. Check that out. Take a look at that. That is something right there.
That's bad.
Yep.
But yeah, in the thread that I sent to you, I do have the specific parts from the Famitsu article that are kind of important.
So you'll know that they did pretty well in during the pandemic. They did pretty well like everybody else. And they had a huge surge there when everybody got back to work and started doing whatever they do. And ever since then, they have been on a mountainous-like drop to the bottom here. And more importantly, over the last month here, here's July 19th. And what I want to attract your attention to about this is that this is the day that Thomas Lockley, the guy that invented all of this about Yasuke and had been changing Wikipedia for close to a decade to make himself richer by advertising his own books as the singular authority on Yasuke, by the way. This guy, by the way, who is not a historian, he is a English teacher at a law school in Japan, by the way. So it's like, I'm a historian. I get paid to talk about history. That's the logic this asshole applied, okay?
He's like what we would like to call a monetary fraud.
Yes, and so when the truth of him came out, this was the dive that Ubisoft stock took as soon as that news got out. And I just have to say, that's just a little piece of internet beauty right there. You don't see that too often. You don't see the internet just react like that with all of its vicious, terrible might. And I'm glad to see it. But speaking of seeing things, yeah, whatever. I'm sorry. It's been a long day for me. So I'm just a little up, down, left, and right. So you have to forgive me. All right? Not a little.
Do we have to? Do we have to, Cider?
You do, because I'm in control of the show. if I leave, you guys just gonna have to sit here and talk to each other, and you know.
Oh god, if you leave, then it's just gonna be retro wave with me and Nerdigans again. Nobody wants
Exactly.
that.
Okay. Sorry, I had to go take care of the cat.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
shoot him?
no, no, but like this is what I found here. This is the person that is claiming that Ubisoft used Deep L to translate it from English to Japanese.
That tracks. It makes perfect sense to me. The as we this is a thread, so there's more to this. Okay.
Yeah, there's more. There's the community note that was up first.
Whoops.
There's more community notes there.
Those who are not familiar with the situation will not understand, so I will explain the background. As mentioned in the post, the film features a black man named Yasuke who served nobody. Oh, it's a game. Okay, thanks.
Yeah,
Google
it was
Translate.
that's Google Translate being stupid.
Yeah, Yasuke, who served Nobunaga during the Sengoku period, but there is controversy over the Yasuke issue, whether Yasuke was a samurai or not, more specifically, a page. It all started when author Thomas Lockley edited Wikipedia to fit his own books and theories, filling in ambiguous parts with his imagination. History experts did not refute the claims because they did not have the detailed information or were not interested, and as a result, Lockley's claims were spread abroad as truth. The game was advertised as being faithful to history, but there are fears that misunderstanding will spread overseas. And yeah, so that's community notes replying to Ubisoft.
The first of many, but yeah, then there's that too. This is the one with the tatami mats that I mentioned.
Yep. It's funny that there are external consultants, historians, researchers, and Ubi Japan employees all on those tatami mats. Are there really no Japanese people among them? So what they're talking about is that the tatami mats look more like daycare mats, where children will play upon them so they don't get boo-boos when they fall down, go boom. And also, all of these men, according to the husband and wife group, reviewers that I watched the other night, these men sitting like this are in the punishment position. They are either very sad or very repentant for what they've done if they're sitting like this. If this is a relaxed session, they are to be sitting like Nobunaga with their legs crossed, not put out in front of them and their heads tilted down. This is shame. Everyone in this court is in the shame position now.
But is it true? Is that what the intention was?
No, because it appears that Yasuke is being given some type of ceremony. This is the scene where he's presented to Nobunaga.
Yeah.
And so I doubt the entire court would be like, we're very sorry for bringing this black guy before you, but he insisted and he's really tall. You know, I highly doubt that that's what they're doing. But it's
I mean, it would be hilarious if they just like figure it out. It's like, oh, it turns out the Japanese were the ones that invented the N-word. Now this game makes a lot more sense.
Well, as you might have not know, Jacob, Thomas Lockley is saying, and him and David Adkins, they're professors there for things that aren't related to history in Japan, but they're saying that Japan was part of the African slave trade now.
Yeah.
And that owning black people was a prominent... it was a symbol of power in Japan. This is why Nobunaga wanted to own Yasuke.
Which isn't true.
Right. But this is the situation that we're faced with now, is that they're telling us that these people who were chained to the floor of these ships to be brought to the USA and Europe made it all the way to Japan like that.
Is this the same lie like the guy who in that viral video was saying that the reason why the Koreans are so good at making fried chicken is because black slaves went over there and showed them how to make it right, like that whole thing. It's like
yeah, it's the we was samurai and shiz kind of thing.
Yeah, and so this is what we're running into, is that a lot of people are claiming like, oh yeah, Japan was big into the slave trade. And it's like, well, that doesn't track because there would be a massive native-born black population then.
Which
and
there's not.
Which doesn't exist.
Right, and it's not like the Japanese one day decided we're going to erase these people from history all at once and ship them away and never acknowledge them ever again, and the whole country went along with that. Okay, that's not...
There was this one time in 1995 where, Bret Hart refused to put over Big Daddy Cool Diesel, and The Undertaker, who was in the room, just happened to stand up, turn to Bret Hart and say, motherfucker, not everything's about you. And I feel like collectively that should be like our sentiment towards a certain group of people who think everything in the entire world revolves around them, when historically proven it's not. Like historically,
Well,
with
you
evidence
know,
and stuff.
you say that about evidence, but we've got a good friend, Alyssa Mersante, over there at
Oh
Kotaku,
yes,
and
yes, yes.
those
I'm
pesky
not gonna lie. Wait,
things.
I'm not gonna lie. When you
Well,
first started, I thought you were gonna say Alyssa Milano. I was like, oh god, how's she figure into this?
Yeah, she's an Assassin's
yeah,
Creed
like-
now. Yeah, you bet.
but yeah, something that Alyssa is not taking into account, you'll see it in the thread, in my thread, if you go back there, is that they're not Japanese are not buying this apology, especially
Yeah.
since they didn't change the Assassin's Creed Shadow webpage,
Right.
which someone posted. So yeah, they're calling it a token apology too. And there was someone that compared this to Ghost of Tsushima
Yep.
as
Now,
well.
This right here is just a excellent piece of work. It has been updated, and I have managed to go back to the one that hasn't been updated yet. So this
Oh,
is before
I
she
made sure I
took all of her.
screenshot it too. So
Well, she
that way-
she had a bunch of she had a wonderful temper tantrum here. So let's
Oh, about Trump too. Oh my god.
yeah, and somehow Trump's involved in Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's amazing. So this was never anything about anything other than hate. Movements for ethics in games journalism or against forced DEI in video games are diaphanous veils draped in bigotry.
Okay.
Whatever.
Okay. Whatever
And
that means.
so it's a weak hiding spot, is what she's trying to say. And so she produces this. Now, I don't know about you, but the people who are in the Don't Screw with Yasuke court are probably conservative mostly. And that looks more like a BLM riot. That looks more like a Kavanaugh got confirmed riot. That looks more like our candidate's crap riot than anything you'd expect the right to respond to with. But
I was thinking that looks like the Genshin Impact crowd.
It's true. It's true. So she says on July 23rd, in response to the ongoing backlash against a black lead character in the upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadow game, developer Ubisoft released a lengthy statement. The response on X, formerly Twitter, were exactly what you'd expect. Racist images, slurs, and calls for historical accuracy. Heavens to Betsy. In a video game series that has always been steeped in science fiction. That's why they took the crossbows out.
That's it says here in the Famitsu article, it says, what do you think is particularly important when featuring original characters and historical figures in a game? And this is the the associate narrative director that said this, Brooke Davis. She said they each other different they each offer different and unique opportunities. And what I found really interesting about Yasuke historically is that we know a certain amount about him, but there's a lot we don't know. We had to fill in the blanks in the story, and it's important that Yasuke is a historical figure. Key words: it's important that Yasuke is a historical figure.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's almost as if that was the focus of this entire thing.
An unpublished community note, a feature frequently used by users to add context to posts. Now she's mad. She's mad about this because she got community noted. So she's mad about that. Big old chip on her shoulder from Papa.
Twitter had the audacity to correct me and say that I was wrong.
Twitter daddied me, but in the way I don't like. But Assassin's Creed Neighbor Squire. We all know what that says underneath there, but I'm going to insist that it says neighbor. Okay, for the sake of this channel, that says neighbor.
For the sake of YouTube.
I also want to point out that this is not available like if you're walking through public community notes, right? You have to be searching for these in order to find them.
Well,
so
you just have to be a community notes person, and then you can see it.
Right, and so these
If
are...
only we knew someone on the show who was a community nurse person.
That'd be me.
Traitor. But a fledgling furosity, fledgling but whatever.
Ferociously.
Thank you. It's been a long day. Of gamers will tell you the Assassin's Creed Shadows backlash is about respecting Japanese culture or refusing to accept woke ideologies that are being forced into their games by consulting groups who hold no real power. The president of Sweet Baby Inc. said you need to take the marketing team and HR out and threaten them to get hired. Okay, threaten them that if they don't hire Sweet Baby Inc., there will be hell to pay. Are you really trying to tell me that, Alyssa Mersante? But but just like in 2014, the Gamergate. Look, she said the magic word, guys. She said Gamergate. It's
I'm triggered.
Gamergate.
Trigger word.
Look, guess what? It's Gamergate again. It's like, what, 3.0, 6.0, 10.0? Are we up to 10.0 now? Probably. There's more Gamergate versions than Minecraft updates, so.
Yeah.
But it's Gamergate all over again, guys, you know? This was never about anything other than hate.
No, guys, for real this time.
So it says, you guys, I have thousands of hours in the AC franchise. I will not be purchasing this title. You guys have gone too far. Stop the race swapping. I imagine a world where you made a game based on Japan, but without a DEI character, and where you made it historically accurate at least. Sure, some fantasy there, but we'll stick to the script. Yeah, it's called Onimushu. Yeah. That's from PS2. You could enjoy that. That's pretty historically accurate.
There's also Justice of Tsushima as well.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. And Yasuke was a DEI hire. Thank you for finally. I love that it's a German helmet that he's modified. There's so much subtext with this movie. There's so much subtext here.
Black Samurai, more than meets the eye.
So we got to continue reading, and that means Kotaku knows we're here. So we'll just have to wait and find out how long that lasts. But the internet is a powerful place, an in-between world in which imagery and rhetoric can be weaponized to such an extent it bleeds into real life. From the wires to the
picture yourself in a magical adventure.
As the 2022 book Meme Wars says. Oh, thank God somebody wrote a book about the Meme Wars.
Yeah, that's what we were missing.
In 2014, a misogynistic movement demanding ethics in games journalism.
Oh no, that's misogynistic to want ethics in game journalism?
Oh my God, they're misogynist because they're calling out the fact that we're sleeping our way for good reviews. Like, how dare they?
I mean, Kamala Harris is sleeping her way to the presidency, or trying to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of that.
Well, to be fair, Joe Biden slept his way through the presidency, so there you go.
Well, just speaking of that, I just want to bring up that we do have a totally real, not real sponsor for the show tonight. We do want to bring this up here, so here we are. Yes, that's right. Old Dick can help you get further in life. Rich, chewy, and nuts. That's right. You get yourself some Old Dick. We have some testimony from one of the lead sponsors of Old Dick, Miss Camel Toe Harris here. She says, since I have low self-esteem, I can't rely on my knowledge to get me through life. So if I want to be the president of the United States, I grab an Old Dick. It's always worked for me then, and it'll work for me now. That's right. You too can enjoy Old Dick.
Well, it worked for her to get. It worked for her to get the district attorney job in San Francisco.
Flavors are available in dark chocolate, white chocolate, and Mexican.
Breakfast taco. Remember, Joe called them breakfast tacos. Yeah. So, disclaimer though, we do need to do the disclaimer. Old Dick isn't right for everyone. Please consult your local Clinton Foundation representative to find out if Old Dick is right for you. Side effects may include cackling like a drowning hen, run-on sentences, blank stares, and racial dysphoria.
And you may want to get medical attention if your Old Dick bar is still hard after 4 hours or more.
That's true. That's right. Your Old Dick should not be hard after 6 hours. That is dangerous. That is dangerous. No hard Old Dicks after 6 hours. You heard it here. But
I'm back to the article at hand here with the insanity that she's comparing what's happening in Assassin's Creed to Donald Trump at January 6th.
That's all they got. It's just, January 6th. January 6th.
What about today and yesterday? There was could make the argument.
We literally just had like pro-Palestinian people like mark up every single historical landmark in the city of Philadelphia today, and no one said a word.
Yeah,
But yeah,
in
sure.
DC too.
Yeah, the police even got roughed up, and there was like nothing. It's cool.
And the
Mhm.
police used mace. No, they used mace and rubber bullets.
There was more documented violence of what took place today than there actually was on January 6th.
But
And they went in the Capitol building. They went in the Capitol building yesterday too. That's why I'm like, where's and they're spray painting like, you know,
Gaza.
Hamas. We support Hamas. It's like, dude.
All I'm saying is that they weren't burning the American flag on Jan 6.
For real.
These people are nuts. These are just dumbass LARPers that don't know any better.
Well, speaking of dumbass LARPers, she goes on to try and tie this whole thing to Trump. So here we go. Steve Bannon, the former chief political strategist for President Donald Trump, told author Joshua Green that he realized former Breitbart technology consultant Milo Yiannopoulos could connect with these kids right away. You can activate that army. They come in through Gamergate or whatever, and then they get turned into politics and Trump. And as if that's not how Obama came to be, but whatever. Harnessing the power that forever changed the landscape of mainstream politics, many believe it directly led to both Trump securing the election in 2016 and the Capitol riots in January 6th. That's right, guys. Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed Shadows is directly responsible for January 6th. That came from Melissa Mersante.
Sons of bitches.
Yep. You know, you wouldn't know it, but Yasuke was right there leading the charge into the That was Yasuke that was dressed up like the Buffalo Man. Yep.
Maybe January 6th is responsible for my cat wanting to play fetch right now. I can't wait for like another.
We might as well just start blaming all of our unrelated problems on January 6th. Like, why not?
True.
I'd rather blame it on dumbass LARPers, but
my tire was slightly underinflated when I got in my car today. It must have been January 6th.
Yep. It was that day. It just goes around. The day goes around slashing people's tires.
I stubbed my toe on the way out of bed this morning. I was like, damn, January 6th.
Do you remember that? Thanks, Obama. Do you remember the Thanks, Obama?
Yeah.
Meme? I love that. I used it in real life. Anytime something would happen, just go, thanks, Obama. It was great. Felt great. But part of what ensures this army remains active is constantly feeding them things they should be outraged about. For Trump and his ilk, it was a veritable laundry list of perceived problems that only he could fix. Immigrants, aka that word I can't say on YouTube. Taxes, aka a break for billionaires. Transgender people, aka Title 9. Yeah, Title 9 rollback. I think that says 9. Anyway.
That's Title 9.
Thank you. Rollback. Abortion, aka ban it. Well, it's not banned. It's in the state's hands. If they want to ban it, you can do what Reagan said, sweetheart, and go ahead and vote with your feet. All right? And more, of course, because there's always more with Alyssa.
Always more.
There is always something to be up in arms about, always something to ensure you are scared, angry, concerned, and ready to do whatever it takes to get him reelected. Boy, that sounds awfully familiar. That sounds like...
It almost sounds like a call to arms there, doesn't it?
It almost sounds like that's how the SJWs keep their base going. That they just constantly feed them a stream of hatred. Like, oh my gosh, Gaza's under attack. Oh my gosh, this guy who's totally whacked out on fentanyl died in the street while cops were standing around him. Oh my gosh, this woman who wanted to throw boiling, scalding water on this asshole cop got shot. And here we are again, you know?
Yeah, it's just boiling water. What's the big deal?
He should
It's
have
just
took it.
hydrochloric acid, or it's just
Yeah. She shouted, by the power of Jesus Christ, I rebuke you, and lifted that water as if she was going to hurl it at him. But, you know, he should have just taken it. There's always something to be up in arms, whatever it takes to get him reelected. Sounds like that's how the SJWs work. And so she goes on and she says, the reactionary right-wing movement in gaming that has reared its ugly head yet again.
What about the reactionary left-wing movement?
Those aren't real. No, they're not reactionary. Those are good people taking time out of their
They
day.
pretend like their side doesn't exist. That's the whole.
They pretend the
Genshin.
they pretend the Genshin Impact boycotters are doing the right thing.
They pretend they're adults.
Yeah.
Sociocultural issues are reaching a fever pitch in an election year, and just like 10 years ago, political ire is bleeding into popular culture, where it has been seized upon by those looking to take advantage of the naive, impressionable young men who are shunned in public but lauded and then loved online. Wow!
Sounds like
Wow!
projection.
That sounds a hell of a lot like the call to arms for Antifa, doesn't it? That sounds an awful lot like how they got those Antifa kids all riled up to kill those MAGA people in Oregon.
It's just crazy how it just sounds exactly similar to that, right?
Yeah, it's wild. I'm sure they're totally unrelated, though.
It's always a coincidence.
There are countless studies and stories
Oh,
proving
God.
that the radicalization of male youth has been propped up and perpetuated by the internet. That's right. Let's just shut off the internet. Good job, Alyssa. You got it right. Let's just shut her down. Let's just go into Google right now and let that big switch down, shut down that damn internet. That'll fix everything. Nobody will be mad again.
Sounds
Go
right
Go
to me.
read them. You don't even fucking cite them.
Yeah, go read them. It's up to you to find these studies that prove everything she's saying. You need to figure it out, asshole. As they convince you far more effectively than I can. I won't link you to them. I'm not going to help you. They're out there, though, believe me. But what I can say, especially having faced this ire ceaselessly for months, is that this kind of movement is fueled by nothing but hate.
Are you sure that's not the leftists on the Genshin Impact people that are saying like the most racist shit ever?
It's funny you should say that, right? So listen to the quote she picked. She says, "Racism isn't a logical position, so you cannot defeat it with logic.
You can't
Facts
defeat
just
Genshin
don't
Impact
matter."
boycotters with logic, though.
Exactly. Facts just don't matter to a racist,
That's
especially
them.
not the tedious kind of racist that makes their home in video game culture. There's always a new hair to split.
That is literally the Genshin.
Did she really just turn this whole thing right back into a Gamergate? Like, just like that?
And not only that, she turned it into you guys are the SJWs that complain about everything, not us. We didn't complain about body types in games. We didn't complain about people looking too pretty. We didn't complain about too many boobs. That was you guys that did all that.
We didn't complain about a game being too white.
She's just complete. She was so angry when she made this. There was no thought process to whatsoever. This was just clickety clack, clickety clack, clickety clack, clickety clack for as quick as she could get it out.
Gaslighting more than meets the eye.
It's so beautiful what she gets on into in here that I'm not even going to bother to read it. But what I want to get into,
No, you got to read the part about the 80s, about the 80s, about video games. That shit is totally worth it because it's that stupid about
that's a whole paragraph.
No, you got to read part of it.
Stop making Cider read, nerdigans.
It's a special brand of hatred. It's a special brand of hatred, a sort of backwards logic boomerang careening through the air on its way back from progress. Since its inception, gaming as a cultural space was largely dominated by white boys and men. You had to have a certain amount of wealth and free time to even partake in it. And those were not readily available to marginalized groups in the 80s.
So arcades weren't available to marginalized groups.
Yeah, black kids had no idea what the fuck quarters were. They only had nickels.
Black people didn't even have access to malls until like
it's true
2008 question mark Obama.
There's like an animatronic Bull Connors outside with a squirt gun hand, and as soon as you guys get close, it goes psst, not today. Come back later.
We don't take kindly to your parts around here.
Y'all ain't allowed in the Mall of America. Understand? We don't want your kind in here.
All those KKK members that just so happen to own our gaming arcades all around the country.
Yeah, the Klan meetings right in front of the DDR machine. So many pictures.
The arcades were the front for the Klan.
Exactly. Right?
The arcades, at least where I was at, were full of drug dealers, and that's why one of them got shut down.
I wonder who that was, nerdigans.
It wasn't me. I was too young at the time.
So that's the objection.
A likely story. Marketing and the designs of games aimed at boys increasingly fueled the widespread perception that this was a hobby exclusively for them, to the point where many girls with an interest in it were met with parental resistance and cultural shunning.
That's bullshit. Is bullshit because my mom bought me. Technically, my brother and I did. We bought our Game Boy Color and Nintendo 64 from Costco. There was no cultural shunning, but then again, I grew up in a more like moderate / liberal household in California, in the Bay Area. So I could be wrong.
I'm gonna try and use AI to make this now. I wanna get it so that they're dancing to I, I'm your little butterfly. You know, so you got the KKK doing the DDR dances on the DDR machine to that. I'm gonna
get like some 80s like synth pop and like just take us back to like 1984. It's like before Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. We had KKK arcade.
Yes, you've heard of DDR. How about KKR?
Mm-hmm.
Clan Revolution.
It's literally just it's like a Confederate flag and like Super Mario 2 in the background. Like it makes no sense.
Right, exactly. And Mario has a southern accent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, arcade with arcade. That's great. But so what does this genius have to say? I myself forged ahead in gaming after my parents refused to keep feeding into a boy hobby because I could afford to buy an Xbox 360 with my summer job money, and my story is not unique.
It must be unique because maybe my story is unique because my parents were awesome like that. But yeah, that might just be you, Alyssa, or maybe like some uber conservative.
I'm gonna go ahead and file this under things that never happened. Okay,
that's probably a safe bet.
Because let me just ask you: if you've got something that keeps your kid fucking quiet for a few hours, why are you telling them they can't do that anymore? If they're not going out doing drugs, having babies before they're ready to have babies and getting into all sorts of other kinds of trouble, if they're just sitting on their Xbox and cursing to the heavens when they die too many times, I think you probably want to keep them doing that, right? Especially in the 90s when we were told that drugs were lurking everywhere. If you just stood still too long, crack cocaine would leak into your veins.
Yeah, but the DARE program and Gruff, the crime dog.
Yep, because what happens is you don't listen to DARE, then the next thing you know, McGruff the crime dog is breaking down a meth lab that's burning down the entire forest, and then you meet Smokey the Bear, and they're all teaming up together.
There's a revisionist history.
Eventually, a substantial number of women, queer folks, and minorities got jobs in the video game industry as developers, social media managers, community organizers, journalists, and the whole industry collapsed under the colossal weight of their egos.
I love that she just points out social media managers, community organizers in here too. It's like, that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Like, if you want to say like developers and journalists, that's a whole different story. But social media managers and community organizers don't matter.
Well, I want to drag your attention a little closer to this. This is what you didn't see, but your brain did. She lumped in all of the people who make the game into developers and separated all of the activist elements into their own separate silos. Okay, so this is where her thinking is. These motherfuckers who put the game together, they don't matter. They're developers. But these people who fight the cause on behalf of the devs who are working so hard with their blue hair, these people matter. Not these dev people. Replace them with Indians. I hate this. I hate this so much.
Then there's the rise of the indie games, and then there's also the Me Too and Black Lives Matter movements.
Hello, my friend. My name is Matt Rubby. Can I help you today?
Like, it wasn't. I don't think it was Me Too that got the former Activision president held accountable.
Largely thanks to the Me Too and Black Lives Matter movements, bad actors were held accountable for their perpetuating and antiquated ideologies.
What about holding you guys accountable?
So, like, sexually assaulting people and like all the other bullshit that was happening in Activision doesn't count in all this.
When do we start holding you guys accountable? Like you act like you're the ones that hold everyone. When we start pointing the finger at you? Like when can we do that? Is that allowed? Is that problematic, sir, ma'am?
Yeah, but it was a fight to get even a somewhat level playing field, but it felt like we had nearly gotten there. Now, Alyssa, When you say level playing field, does that mean that you guys aren't going to fuck guys to get better reviews? I just want to clarify, is that the level playing field you're talking about? Or
Does that mean that you're not going to fuck literal chodes in order to get better reviews? Is that the whole point of this?
Yeah. I just want to make
Probably.
sure. I just want to make sure. Granted, there aren't that many men left in game reviewing, so maybe that's not a problem anymore, huh? There's not that hurdle anymore. I don't know. That's the level playing field she's talking about, is that getting all the men out, then it's level. I'll remind you guys, too, that Assassin's Creed Shadows dev team.
Oh, you mean the ones made of white women with blue hair, and then the president of Sweet Baby Inc., Kim Belair?
Yeah. This one precisely here. We'll just skip over here. This is what they mean when they say diversity and a level playing field.
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice anything? Do you notice it?
There's a bunch of white women, possibly non-binary, lonely, miserable, angry at the world.
Yeah, no black guys or Asian guys. No guys.
Smell like microwave cheese.
There's no men here whatsoever at all.
No.
And there's no black guys and there's those Asian guys. But look who's the center of this game. And they're all about like only black people can voice black characters and only, different races can voice their own things. And if you're not black, you don't get to tell black stories. But what am I looking at?
These people are.
I'm looking at a bunch of French Canadians that want to tell me a black guy's story wasn't interesting enough for them. So they had to rewrite it and steal his name in order to make it interesting. That's what I'm looking at.
Bunch of cabrones. Bunch of Esther cabrones.
So,
Then there's Elon Musk getting involved.
So this is the part that I wanted to get down to, because she's talking about like attempts to debunk it are met with accusations of conspiracy. Gee, how about that? When you're trying to talk about how DEI just showed up one day, you're a conspiracy theorist that BlackRock has anything to do with it. But if you call attention to people calling attention to it, you're the conspiracy theorist. I love this. Alyssa's a victim. That's the thing. We need to remember that. So Elon retweets it, and it's going somewhere. And so here's the line that got me. It gains more traction. Elon Musk posts about it. The men who were first ringing the reactionary bell see dollar signs thanks to the monetization of virality perpetuated by Musk, by YouTube, by Facebook, and they want more.
That
More
sounds like you,
eyeballs.
Alyssa. You want that. That's what you want.
No, wait. No, she doesn't. Because wait, more eyeballs equals more money. And you can't get eyeballs if you're not stoking the flames of hatred, and people need to stay angry. So let me
You
just
mean
ask
like what you're doing, Alyssa? You're literally doing that.
Let me just ask you. This is the biggest problem with Kotaku. They're not out here to try and make money with what they're doing. That's why they're going under. They're not even reporting news. This is Alyssa's private blog. This is a blog post on a news website, just so you know.
They're going money.
Yeah. These guys, they're getting rewarded for their work, and they want to be rewarded more, those jerk-offs. How dare they want to be rewarded for their work? And they have more people see what they did, too, those jerk-offs, have wanting more people to see what they did. It's an amazing statement from a person who works for a news organization to say that what they're doing should not be lucrative. It should not pay them. Okay, and granted, Alyssa's not taking any pay cuts. I want to remind you, she's not working for free at Kotaku in order to spread the truth, But this whole thing is she brings up Concord.
Yeah, that she lists up everything that has happened.
So this is a long screed, and let me just zoom out so we can see it here. It'll load back the. So this whole paragraph right here you're looking at starts all the way up here. It says, so this week it was Assassin's Creed Shadows. All the way down to here.
She brought Tiana in there too, like the Bayou Adventure. It's like, that has nothing to do with race.
Any criticism of black-related things is deemed racist. Yeah, again, she's not a conspiracy theorist, by the way. Just so you know.
No,
right?
not at all.
Then there's the trans flag cosmetics in Call of Duty.
Right. So what she goes on here, and I'll just read it. I'll just read a couple of it so you can get it. It says, so this week it was Assassin's Creed Shadows. Before that, it was a content warning added to a Capcom game. Before that, it was the perceived failure of Flintlock. Before that, it was a female lead in a Star Wars game not being hot enough. And she goes on and 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 on. Now, what I want to point out to you, okay? this is how the SJWs treated us over the last 10, 15 years. I think it's 15 years. Just pummeling us with this systematic racism here. There's injustice here. These people are having their culture destroyed. These people are totally forgotten by the system. This guy's never had a president that looks like him. Just keeps beating us over the head with this stuff that has absolutely no bearing on reality whatsoever. And here she is listing all the stuff that has come at her too fast, because guess what she has to say about this? She says down here, all of this manufactured rage, because your rage is fake, all of this manufactured rage has been rammed down the throats of impressionable young people in just the last 45 days alone.
Wait a minute. Notice that there's no Genshin Impact in there?
No.
In that list?
No. Because she doesn't care. She's not a gamer, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Her parents told her not to do boy things, remember? That's how hard of a gamer she is. So this is, again, she brings up Elden Ring, she brings up Veilguard, all this other stuff, and Black Myth Wukong, which we found out was a mistranslation, but she's still running it as the devs being sexist. Because she's racist. She hates Asian people. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but most of Alyssa Mercante's strongest ire comes out when it's pointed at Asian men. I noticed it. She went off. She went a full color of hatred different against Grums than she went against JT.
Maybe that scene in She-Hulk was like a personal experience. Remember that one episode of She-Hulk where she slept with the Asian dude and then he just never contacted her like ever again? They spent literally the entire episode about, oh, where is he? Why isn't he calling me? It's like maybe they have one of those experiences.
Possibly. Or she's just angry that anime doesn't look like her because she's, not that.
Well, I mean, thank God for that, right? I mean, isn't that a good thing?
I'm thankful for it. But yeah. And so again, like she's back into her thing about talking about, everything's racist. But I just consider for a minute, guys, right, that she brought up Trump, she brought up January 6th, she brought up Russia. It's just anything that she could think of to try and drag the current political climate into this. She did. And I don't know, man. It blows my mind that one person was able to concoct all of that in like one Toys R Us style tantrum. I don't know. What would you call that? Like, I don't know.
Tangent?
Yeah,
a
I guess. Meltdown.
A bitch fit.
Oh! Yeah, something like that.
It sounds like he shit himself and come at the same time.
Oh, that was her. It wasn't him. That was her. But
something I noticed, I don't know if you guys saw this in the response to the Assassin's Creed on the Western side, but most of them are just like, they were saying that it's that white people pretending to be Japanese are crying somewhere. I'm like, it's like, what the hell are you talking about, bro? A lot of them brought up Grums from what I saw, and it's like, dude, there's more than just Grums talking about it. Like, are you high?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Oh no, you're talking about them. Sorry.
Yeah, no, not you.
Okay, I've been trying to talk to the bosses about this, and I'm not really sure what the heck is going on. Something's up.
No, you cannot be high and host a show. We told you this a bunch of times, Cider. Oh yeah, you meant the. Well, it's just us now.
Oh, it's just us now.
Never mind. But no, it's this. It's just we've got an ad header and I have an ad blocker, and it just obliterates my ability to share a screen because I have a 4-inch gap at the top of the screen that refuses to move until the featured image shows up.
Yeah, that makes
and I
sense.
just can't get by it. It won't stop doing that, and that's thanks header ad that won't go away. Appreciate it. So this headline is supposed to read, if it was doing its job.
Legible.
Yeah. Gosh, look at this. Thanks, Bounding. You're killing me over. I can't get that notification button out of the way and still read. Okay, so Perlmutter took his money and left. He's had enough. Screw it. I'm going and doing the Mr. Rogers thing and retiring into the sunset. Bye. And that's what Perlmutter did. Perlmutter was the guy that challenged Iger about a month ago in the investor vote to have him replace Iger, and the investors voted against it. So Perlmutter's like, screw it, I'm getting $3 billion out of this company, and I'm leaving. And he did. And that's that. I'm sorry, just this header thing drives me nuts. I can't I can't share a screen. The website won't let me have it. So there you go. Now you know what's going on with that. Disney is in big trouble because of this, because Perlmutter brought a lot of legitimacy to what they were up to, being the former head of Marvel. So he had a lot of like I guess he had a lot of like clout to offer their operation. So like as long as Perlmutter was still like halfway on board, Marvel was still
Yeah.
solvent. But now that he's walked away, that's like Marvel's dead. The guy that used to run it has thrown in the towel on it. So
Yeah, I mean, I know there's such a thing as like cooking the books. It feels like Disney's been like boiling the books like for a while now. It's like this goes back to, I mean, I know we've been focusing on it a lot for like the last like 2 years now after the whole like Bob Chapek debacle, but it just seems to be snowballing more and more. And like I said, I've never seen a major conglomerate like this fumble so many properties simultaneously. Like it's one thing if like the Star Wars situation was just only Lucasfilm. Like Lucasfilm was a shit show, but everything else was run pretty well. Or maybe if it was just Pixar and everything else, or maybe if it was just the MCU, but it's like it's all of them. All of the properties are just falling out, and that's just kind of like the film properties. We don't even talk about like, you know, the theme parks and like ESPN and kind of the grander scope of Disney, how it is right now. But yeah, no, I mean, this whole thing has just been flopping for a while, but they have to keep doing, like I said, the shareholder thing of, hey, look, we have an annual quarterly shareholders meeting where we have to BS our stockholders and let them know that everything's fine and we're going to turn it around and that all of our problems are based on something that had absolutely nothing to do with the problem itself, and just have hope there for the next one. It's just, how much longer are they going to be able to keep this thing going before people start putting the dots together? But then again, look, there's been a couple people here at this point who have tried to, you know, correct the problem from the inside, but it just seems like the beast is just too big for them to slay. So they've kind of like sidestepped, you know, the whole endeavor. And it doesn't mean that things going to get better. It's going to get significantly worse at this point. So it's like, what more do you do as a Disney property outside of hoping that, you know, Deadpool and Wolverine saves your entire MCU franchise, which it may or may not do based on some of the early reviews, but we'll get to that on another show.
I would love to be able to share this article about Gina Carano, the judge, saying that it's good to go, but I can't get the header out of the way. I can't get
Well, let me see if I can do it on my end. So give me the prop chat and I'll see if I can shoot this one over here.
Yeah, I don't know what that problem is, but I cannot get it to stop doing that. So there's the link to the article, and it's just, you know, take a look. It's look at that. It just chops off everything. And it won't scroll the damn bar until I get to the featured image. This has been 2 weeks with this. It's ridiculous. Don't put an ad at the top of the site, guys. I'm sorry. I know we want to pack in ads wherever we can. Put it down in the middle of the ad, in the middle of the article. I'll make you a banner that advertises G Fuel or whatever you want at the top. That's fixed. It stays there. It doesn't roam around.
Give me 1 second here.
I'm sorry. It's a website. We've been building these things since the mid-90s. Okay? I learned how to code these in high school.
Remember GeoCities? Remember when that was a thing?
Yeah, I had an Angel Fire. You know, I was coding my own stuff in high school. I had a 90 in web design when I graduated high school.
Okay, I might be dating myself horrendously here, but I think you guys are around the same age bracket as me. Do you guys remember a little thing called Web TV? Do you remember that thing back in like the early 2000s?
Yes.
I remember they had an option to like where you can like literally like make your own like website off of like the TV thing. That was like one of the perks back in those days. Yeah, I can only imagine just how many just dead sites there are for that era alone, because there was a lot of them. I don't even remember who made that. Was that like a TiVo thing, or do you happen to remember?
I want to say it was a DirecTV special that they created through DirecTV. I want to say it was them. It wasn't Dish, and it wasn't Usenet. It was another one. But I think that was part of their like outreach to the youth thing that they were doing.
Yeah.
Smarter Child wasn't too far behind that, and that was another kids interactive thing. So but yeah, just so you guys know, because we can't share the headline because just, you know, something's up on my end or something, I'm not sure. But Gina Carano's case with the House of Mouse will be going forward. They have denied a previous motion to dismiss the wrongful termination lawsuit that Gina and Elon have filed on Gina's behalf. So this means that discovery will happen next. Now, that could be bad, because if they happen to, for whatever reason, keep a record of their conversation about what to do with Gina, that's going to be in the courtroom. And if they used a lot of language there that suggests that they're lambasting her, well, now you've got a libel case on top of that, that they terminated her with the intention of destroying her career. So
I'm so glad this is going to Discovery. I'm so glad that they're going to have to like reveal some things that they have been covering up for quite some time. Now the question is this going to change things on a grander scheme of things? Ultimately, I don't think so. But I do hope for at least Gina's sake that she does get something out of it. So even if they get to a point where it's like, okay, this is getting a little too close to home, let's kind of like settle out of court or something like that. Get something out of it. Because, I mean, look, they completely screwed her over. I think it's very fair that they say that at this point, especially given a lot of the things that have happened within that company over the last several years, where situations that have been far more worse than what was alleged against Gina Carano, things that people have gotten away with. Let's be very clear here. She was a right-winger. She had a lot of right-wing opinions. She was working at Disney. That was a big no-no. So they wanted to get rid of her, but she was a popular character on a Star Wars show. So they were basically waiting for something that they can justify to be like, oh, we can't have this woman anymore with these opinions. This is a line too far for us. So they manufactured this whole, oh, she was comparing us to Nazis, and that's a big no-no. It's like, you guys call people Nazis every single day. It's like, miss me with that nonsense. So, yeah, like I said, I just hope at the end of the day, because I don't think that this is going to hurt Disney's brand nearly as much as it should, but I just hope that she gets something out of it. That's when it's all said and done.
We need to remember too that on the other coast, outside of Florida or wherever this is happening, Disney is being sued by 3,000 female workers within their film creation apparatus for being paid less than their male counterparts. That is real, and that went forward, I want to say, sometime in September last year. That started its proceedings, so we'll see that happening pretty soon.
Humor me with this side, or just humor me for a second. It feels like, maybe I'm being a little like jest here, but it feels like corporations were never meant to get this big to begin with, because it just becomes so big where it's completely out of control, to the point where you just can't control the behemoth anymore, right?
Well, we were never told not to do this by the founders. The founders were notoriously, like anti-business control by government. They didn't want the two of them interacting any more than they had to. So, but what you're, what we're looking at though is like, the corporations being this large is a reminder of like the East India Trading Company and the power they were able to push down on like their political rivals, and like how laws were done in other parts of the world. That's what you're seeing Disney able to accomplish now. So you're right. When corporations get out of control, they tend to start making laws and creating their own countries. We've seen this happen in the past as well. And Ford even went out and tried to make his own like micronation down in the forests of the rainforest of Brazil. So, and that went about as predictably well as you'd expect. So there's always been a constant push for corporate control. And we heard this from BlackRock's Larry Fink when he explained that BlackRock was going to force a change in human behavior. That BlackRock does not like doing business with democracies. They want to work with authoritarian governments because they're easier to predict. Yep. And that brings us to the next one about being predictable. Now, again, I can't share the header on this one, so you'll have to take my word on it. Kevin Feige says that they're going to maybe bring back Evans and Robert Downey Jr., respectively, for Captain America and Iron Man. And this was in an interview with somebody.
But they're dead.
Andrew Salazar, I think, was asking this one. But they're not, well, they're dead in the movie series. Well, technically, but you know how comic book works. Nobody's dead.
Just right before you start talking about the article, they're so desperate to bring Robert Downey Jr. back for something Marvel related. Like they're just so desperate because he was basically their guy for the entire run of in the MCU at its zenith, right? It was like the Iron Man movies. They gave him like a portion of like essentially the profits from the movie tickets and stuff like that. You know, he was the face of the entire MCU. Then he died, which kind of signaled the end of the whole thing. And they have not, and how long has that been now? 4 years, 5 years? They have not found a single person to replace him. There's been no one to pass the mantle to. They didn't really pass the mantle to anybody. They didn't pass the torch to anyone, but just hasn't been anyone.
We were told that Brie Larson was supposed to take over the Iron Man role of being like the...
Yeah, she was told that too.
Yeah, exactly. And so Iron Man, meanwhile, is the father of the MCU as far as, you know, like anybody who probably is over the age of 23. Iron Man is the father of the Marvel Universe. They don't recognize Captain America as the first Avenger or anything. That Iron Man is the first Marvel superhero as far as they're concerned. And the attitude of Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of Robert Downey Jr. It might as well be. This is the thing that I loved about this performance, really, and this is before he got all wacko again. But Tony Stark's story is Robert Downey Jr.'s story. He had a father that was massively successful inside of his chosen profession, and his son, being Robert Downey Jr., followed behind him, but always felt like he was trapped in his shadow, no matter how skilled or good he was. And so he turned to substance abuse, which turned him into a slacker. He underperformed, fell out of line, lost his father before they could reconcile. And so that's Tony Stark. That's Tony and Howard, as it was portrayed to us. So Tony got to have some closure with his father about this. Excuse me, Robert Downey Jr. got to have some closure about his father with the portrayal of Howard. And this whole thing is just very Iron Man centric. The entire MCU was built around Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of of Iron Man. All the heroes possess some variant of Tony Stark's morality. Everybody's quippy. Everybody's got a quick wit. Everybody's got a solution. Everybody's cool under fire. That's Tony Stark, as we were introduced to him in 2008.
And like I said, they're so I'm not gonna say emotionally attached, like they can't do anything like without him or I thought, but they know that he's like the one that brought. Like I said, here's the problem. I think this is the ultimate problem with this whole thing is that nobody internally can admit that, you know what, we probably should have just ended this thing a few years ago and went out on top and had like something to like stamp on and been like, yeah, we did this, and then tried to work around some kind of way to do like a next generation type thing like later on. But they was like, nope, we're just gonna keep this story going, this never-ending nonstop story of the MCU, and all of their plans of the last 5 years have like blown up like little tiny fireworks, just gone up one after another to the point where they're so desperate now. They now want a 60-year-old Robert Downey Jr. probably lost like 50 pounds since he last started in, what was it, Endgame a few years ago. So he's in no way, shape, or form in shape to portray the Tony Storm that we all knew and loved to begin with. But like I said, they don't have any star power. And in a way, that's kind of their own fault. I mean, let's be honest, you had this thing going here for what, about 10, 12 years, and you didn't create a single star. That whole time frame it's almost like kind of like the pro wrestling angle of looking at it. It's like, well, yeah, you got your Hulk Hogan, but it's like, who's your Macho Man? Who's your Roddy Piper? Like, who's your Ted DiBiase? Like, who's the guys that are going to be around this whole thing to keep people interested in? You didn't create a single star that the entire time to say, like, Chris Evans, that didn't work out. Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson, these are all people that are just completely come and gone. Now, Mark Ruffalo, like, really? Like, that's the best you got? And this is why they're in the position that they're in.
He never got a solo movie either. You know, I don't like Ruffalo, but we never got another Hulk movie because of that stupid Universal licensing problem.
Yep.
So that
Universal wouldn't let him do it.
Smartly so. Can you imagine? We would have ended up with like Rainbow Hulks by now. Had they been allowed to do the Hulk, we would have had Pink Hulk by now. They would have been introducing every kind of variant. They would have done She-Hulk a lot earlier, and they would have made her look like, I don't know, Iron Liz, the one that used to run with Linkara there. You know, And
Look like
that's
one of
that.
those like Rampage characters or something.
Right, exactly. And so Kevin Feige, though, back at this situation about bringing back Robert Downey Jr., had this to say about the whole effort. He was asked whether Evans and Robert Downey Jr. were on the menu, and he said, "That's the key, right? How do you do it in a way that maintains what has come before and in a great way?" And we've been spending, the last 2+ years figuring out that for Wolverine. He added, "So what's to come? We'll see. We're just proud that I think we have figured it out for Wolverine. I think Hugh's appearance and starring role in Deadpool is a great sign of what's to come if great care is taken."
I don't
Isn't
think
that kind of
going to be taken. It hasn't been since Endgame.
So he
yeah?
doesn't elaborate any further on this. He talks about how he wanted Hugh to hang up the claws and be done with it. And then, and Nerd Again's that article you sent me over to, Feige's just saying he's not going to recast. So,
He's not going to recast Wolverine. So that means, well, let's see what's going to happen with Hugh Jackman, because I think he wanted to retire after Logan, and then he
Well,
was going to
see-
retire after
Well,
this
he
movie.
did retire after Logan, and then
Right.
Disney paid him a crap ton of money to come back.
Well, so this is the thing, is that when Feige says he's not recasting Wolverine in the immediate future, right? They're not thinking about it. That means that for Avengers 5 and for Secret Wars, Jackman will be the main Wolverine. Now, we've heard that there are going to be other ones. We've heard that Cavill, however you want to call him, is going to be playing Wolverine. That they've reached out to him to play another Wolverine. Now, I don't know if this is a replacement. It's just another Wolverine. And so, again, this is Secret Wars. They're going to throw variants of every superhero at you they could possibly cast and make come to life. And so we're also hearing that, I guess the Fantastic Four from the 90s movie is going to be revived for this stupid Secret Wars thing.
How
They're gonna
though? How? Because Chris Evans was in it. So
no. The 90s one with the claymation thing.
Oh,
not-
the
not
90s one with the
Chickless.
claymation one. Okay, because I
Yeah,
was gonna be
not
like, wait a
Chickless.
minute. If you're gonna do the other one though, then that means you got to get Chris Evans, and Chris Evans, Captain
Right.
America. So
And apparently Wesley Snipes is going to be making an appearance in Deadpool and Wolverine. So they are this is why he's saying that Jackman isn't going to be replaced anytime soon, is because the next 2 movies he's not. And they don't want to give you the idea that he's going anywhere, because you'll check out. You'll wait for the new guy. And that's what they learned.
The thing is, though, Wesley Snipes coming in here, it's just like, damn, that Wesley Snipes curse is just killing the Blade movie.
Well, it's good because he's going to come back and set a standard.
Yeah, he's gonna be like, this is what I did for Blade back then. I could still be Blade now.
Yeah, and this may also help the effort of doing something about Black Panther, because they have to in Secret Wars. There will have to be a variant of T'Challa that did not succumb to any illness and thus lived and became the proper king of Wakanda and reigned for a good many years. You may end up seeing old T'Challa. It won't be Chadwick, obviously. But that's what they're talking about. So there's your indication. What they're saying about great care is whatever they're going to... This is Evans and RDJ are not coming back long term.
No.
They both said recently that they're open to the idea of coming back, and RDJ has even said he misses it. So I'm telling you that they've most likely been signed on already, and they can't talk about it because they haven't even started filming, right? So they can't mention anything. And so what's actually going on is that these guys are the great care they're talking about is how they're going to be brought in and then ushered back out again. Because you can't have 2 white male leads in this franchise. That's blasphemy by these guys' religious standards now. So,
You know what this is going to be, and I just realized it. This is going to be like a Far From Home situation, because remember they brought back Toby and Andrew Garfield, and all the and different villains from the Raimi universe, as well as Amazing Spider-Man. So that's what they're trying. It feels like that's what they're trying to do with Secret Wars.
Yep.
Excuse me. Sorry about that.
It's a mess, and we're gonna get even bigger mess now, according to Vulture Magazine over here. We're getting a new film franchise from Michael Bay. It's
Oh
it's one you're
God.
not ready for, I guarantee it. You remember the Transformers franchise and just how careful he was with that, the great care he put into that.
And
Well,
the TMNT.
he's been handed Skibbidi Toilet to make a
Line.
Sigmatic. I don't know what Sigmatic is, but
But why? Did anyone ask for this? This is like if anyone asked for the Naruto TMNT crossover. Did anyone really ask for it?
no. IDW did because they were dying, and the only thing they could figure was to try and leech off the power of manga. So, okay, so it's the word sigmatic is characterized by the addition of s to the root, in forming a tenth stem. No, I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. I'm not collegially educated enough to know what the hell a sigmatic is, but it's not a cinematic universe. It's some other word, but yeah, Michael Bay, infamous for making the racist little cars. You remember those two little Chevy concept cars that were incredible racist stereotypes? Yeah, he's been given the keys to Skibbidi Toilet, and they want to make a multiple movie series out of this.
This is so stupid.
Are you guys familiar with Skibbidi Toilet?
Yes, I am very familiar.
I'm aware of the meme. I don't actually know what it is, but I've heard the references plenty of times. So
right.
It's a weird thing. I think if I remember correctly, it was originally in our era in like the mid 2000s or something like that, in the early days of YouTube, and then it's been making a big comeback on TikTok.
Well, just as a quick overview before we jump over to what Jacob's sharing, Skibbidi Toilet is for the alphas, the kids that are like teenagers and younger now. It's a story about evil toilets who have this guy's head popping out of it, trying to take over the world alien style. And there are people with TVs, cameras, and various other broadcasting style technology for heads that fight them. And that's it. That's it.
And Michael Bay is going to do a movie about this where a bunch of things
movies.
explode.
Several movies. But now back to the Mr. Beast drama.
Yeah, so we kind of covered this a little bit last night. I'm pretty sure most people on the internet are aware about what's happening here. So let's kind of rewind before we talk about this portion of the story.
Nice messages.
Yeah, right. Oh, message. Oh no, that's not showing on there. That's cool. So apparently, what happened here was that Mr. Beast, who, if you guys don't know by now, is the biggest YouTuber on the platform by far. He has over 305 million subscribers as of this moment right now. I'm pretty sure that number is only going to go up. And he has been, let's say, the biggest YouTuber on for the last number of years. And he has a various group of people who he has collaborated with over the last several years too. But more notoriously, everyone knows his best friend, Chris Tyson, who has been in many, many videos of him, both in old and in new versions. Well, Chris, over the last couple of years, decided that he was going to essentially leave his wife, leave his kids to pursue becoming a trans person. And went through this whole metamorphosis of now he's a woman and that he's being now wants to be referred to as he tried to change his name to Chris with a K, and then that didn't work out. Now he wants to be known as Ava, and then, like, good luck with that one, especially after everything that's going on. And then people were saying that, hey, look, this is going to end bad. Why don't you like ditch this guy? Like, eventually this is going to blow up in your face. And Mr. Beast, like many other people, was all like, no, you guys are just transphobes. And I'm sick of all the transphobia about my trans friend. And I was like, okay, well, you reap what you sow. Over the last few days, there's been multiple people who have come out to allege that Chris Tyson has had inappropriate sexual comments and I guess messages back and forth on various platforms with people who are way under the age of 18. We're talking 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, mostly all men, just for the record there. And like people just come out, start one after another saying that, oh yeah, here's my DM chain with Chris Tyson. Here's some of the things that were being said behind closed doors. And now it's gotten to a point where people who worked with Mr. Beast, confirmed to have worked with Mr. Beast, or as recent as this year, have come out and said, oh yeah, this whole situation is far worse than anyone's letting on here. But Chris behind the scenes is basically threatening legal action, so they can't get rid of him. So they kind of have their hands tied. But a lot of people are saying that this is far, far worse than what's actually being alleged. Last night, Chris made a statement basically saying that, he only owns up to essentially making edgy jokes and stuff like that. But, he denies any grooming allegations. But he says that because this thing has spiraled out of control, that they made the mutual decision that he's going to step away permanently from all things Mr. Beast and then move on and whatnot, right? And then people are like, well, Jeremy, which I believe is the guy's name, Mr. Beast's name. Here it's like, well, he had to have known. Like, keep in mind, this is not just like some guy who worked on his platform. This is literally like his best friend since like he was a kid. Like I said, literally every single old video, like they're doing stuff together. So if this stuff was going on for several years, I find it very, very hard to believe Mr. Beast do absolutely nothing about it. This just came out roughly about 10 minutes ago. Mr. Beast has finally commented on the situation himself. This is essentially what he said here. This is his statement. Over the last few days, I've become aware of some serious allegations of Ava Tyson. So he's still doing the trans thing. So that's great. Ava Tyson's behavior online. I am disgusted and opposed to such unacceptable acts. During that time, I have focused on hiring a independent third party to conduct a thorough investigation to ensure I have all the facts. That said, I have seen enough online and taken immediate action to remove Ava from the company, my channel, and any association with Mr. Beast. I do not condone or support any of the inappropriate actions. I will allow the independent investigators the necessary time to conduct a comprehensive investigation and will take any further action based on their findings here. So this is his official statement. This is how he's framing this whole thing right now. Now, there is a couple of things here because there's already a few contradictions here versus Mr. B's statement versus the one that Chris put on his Twitter account last night. So he's saying that essentially Ava was fired, or Chris was fired, right? They were removing him from the company, the channel, all that stuff. Chris made it seem like it was a mutual decision, but obviously Mr. Beast is making it seem like that was not a mutual decision, that he basically got dumped, and this is where we're at right now. So it's like you're gone, you're out of here. So a little contradiction there. Another one is, like I said, Mr. Beast is trying to maintain his sense of innocence during this whole situation, saying that he's going to find an independent third party, saying that he had no idea about any of these unacceptable behaviors that were going on. Now, keep in mind, there are people who are confirmed to have worked with both of these guys over the last several years who are saying that there's absolutely zero way whatsoever that Jeremy, whatever his name is, did not know about the stuff that was going on behind closed doors. So the people who worked with Mr. Beast are saying that that is BS, that there's no way you didn't know. There's probably even worse stuff behind the scenes. Now, keep in mind, because he's such a massive YouTuber, there are a lot of former people who used to work with Mr. Beast who are no longer associated with him that can't publicly come out and make any statements because they've all been signed to NDAs. So because they're all been signed to NDAs, they're not going to be able to really spill the beans on anything that's really going on here. One of the guys in the video who confirmed actually did work with Mr. Beast throughout the winter and the spring of this year had one of those NDAs that he signed, but he was basically saying, oh, this is far worse than you guys can imagine here. So that's the one part of it. And then here's the other part. Like, I understand now he's trying to distance himself from Chris, even though arguably if he had done this, I don't know, like 6 months to a year ago when everyone was saying that this was going to turn out very, very badly, he probably wouldn't have had to have done this in the first place. But here's the thing. You're trying to now say that, okay, I'm going to remove Chris from my company, my channel, and any support from him. Well, here's the problem with that, buddy. All of your old content up to this point, outside of a handful of recent videos, he's in every single one. If you guys don't know this, Mr. Beast also has a 24/7 Tubi channel where Chris is in literally everything that is broadcast on that channel. So this isn't just someone you can just memory hole like away and pretend like, oh, we're just not associated with this guy anymore. It's like there's been a few people that he was associated with maybe like 5 years ago that he doesn't really do content with anymore, but you can't separate the Mr. Beast channel and Chris, because Chris and him have been so close over the last several years. This isn't something that you can just like memory hole away and then hope people forget about it after a period of time. It's like, this is something that's, like I said, only going to snowball worse, because let's say that this happens. Let's say a month goes by and Mr. Beast says, okay, we did a third-party investigation and we found nothing, so we're just going to move on now. And then all of a sudden, all those people who work for Mr. Beast come around and said, oh, really? You guys found nothing? Well, how about this? And we get new allegations, and it starts getting even worse now, especially when it looks like he's more trying to cover up his ties to what exactly happened rather than actually find out the truth of what, went down that day. this could possibly bring down or severely hurt the reputation of the biggest YouTuber in the game. Like I said, 305 million subscribers as of this recording right now. So this is a big deal. But like I said, he only has himself to blame. People were saying for like I said, at least over a year now that, hey, you might want to dump this guy because, first of all, it's bad enough that you left your wife and kid to essentially become a woman, to be your true self, quote unquote. Then we had the whole situation about a couple of months back where he was putting his young child in high heels and making a lot of inappropriate comments on that. He posted it in his own social media accounts, and that wasn't even like conspiracy theory. He just put it out there and whatnot. And now it's gotten to a point where now the allegations are so potent and so many people are coming out. Now he basically was forced to take a stand, even though otherwise he basically would have just labeled it off as everyone's just being transphobic against my friend, which is what he had been doing for the last several months. So that's kind of where we're at right now as far as this whole situation goes. So we don't know how big the snowball is at the moment, if the avalanche is coming. But yeah, so Mr. Beast has now officially made an acknowledgement that he has fired Chris from his channel, and like I said, who knows where this goes after that. So what are your thoughts, Nerdigans Insider, based on this, I guess, new development?
Well, I'll just let you know that I am looking into this to be able to do like probably a 2-part video podcast thing for this channel about what's happening with this, because this has saturated its way into the pop culture. It's not just something stuck in like the spokes of Mr. Beast's thing, his business, if you will. A little earlier, Mitch Ryan asked why Mr. Beast is so popular, and part of my answer to your question, Josh, geez, I'm sorry, Jacob. Josh hasn't been here for like a month.
I know we look alike. We look so much alike. It sounds so much alike.
Man, I think all the time like no, that's Jacob, not Josh. Jeez. But so Mitch Ryan asked, why is Mr. Beast so popular? So 2 reasons, right? As Jacob points out, Mr. Beast gives away free money. So people want to pay attention to that, to get an opportunity to do that, because he brings them to like oddball locations and has them do strange challenges. Sometimes it's X Factor stuff. He buried himself underground for 2 weeks, like in a coffin for 2 weeks. Totally a sane guy does that, by the way. But for YouTube views too, by the way. But it wasn't a Guinness World Book of Records or nothing. It was just, I want to do this for views. And
I just want to be buried alive for a week. Just be in a box, and that'll be great.
Now, the second reason he is so popular is because he gears his content toward children. This is chiefly why he has such a large following. Most of PewDiePie's following was middling between 13 and 18. That's where most of PewDiePie's following was when he was fighting T-Series. Similarly, this is who colors most of Mr. Beast's group. Logan Paul at one point admitted that his group was mostly 8-year-olds. Most of the people who watched his content were 8-year-olds. And so this is who Mr. Beast is pitching to. The kids that have plenty of time to sit around and absorb this, who may have made fake adult accounts in order to interact on the adult side of YouTube, as opposed to being stuck on the kid side. So this, again, he's dealing with a very, I don't know, impressionable audience.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad you did bring up the PewDiePie thing, because like when PewDiePie was going through that whole thing with T-Series for a while there, but then he started to like dissipate in popularity. A lot of people forget that, him and Mr. Beast had a connection there for a while. So a lot of PewDiePie's fans, when PewDiePie kind of went down, they all kind of migrated over to Mr. Beast. So it is kind of at a level of kind of that same fan base that he's been placating to. And yeah, for those who don't know about Mr. Beast's content, like I said, he's known for doing these videos where he's constantly giving away like huge sums of money. Like he'll just find like random subscribers and like bring them to the studio for like some kind of challenge where they can win anywhere from like 10,000 to like several $100,000s of dollars. And because people want money, that's why he's so popular and everyone does that. And then outside of that, his other content is like, oh, I'm gonna go sleep it from a $1 a night home to like $100 million mansion. You can go see like how the rich people live and stuff like that. So that's kind of the draw for Mr. Beast as far as content goes.
Yep. His content really acts a lot like Blimpy. Blippy, that's the guy. I'm sorry, I used to work at a school for autistic children, so I ended up like very, very well attuned to children's media from like the middle 2010s. So Sorry, it's just Blippi's a character that I had nightmares about. It just was drilled into your head. But he's a character that goes places and interacts with people that are. He'll like go to NASA and he'll interact with people in order to teach kids about like the basic idea of what NASA gets up to and all the cool gadgets. And they put Blippy in the flippy twisty machine that makes you puke your guts out your butt and all that stuff. So the whole this is what Mr. Beast kind of evokes is like, I'm at the top of Mount Everest today to ride down on this sled that I bought at a dollar store. Find out how many corpses I'm going to go over on the way down with the counter below. And then they just have the corpse counter of how many corpses he runs over on the way down the mountain. That's his scheme. That's how he operates. So kids gravitate toward it because it's, oh, I wish I could go down Everest on a snowboard riding on people's frozen skulls. Mr. Beast is so cool. And that's the children interest because they don't care about the money. That's just a number to them. They don't care about that. The adults get along with it. The moms and dads get along with it because he's like, hey, if you want to win $10,000, let me know if you'll spend 40 days inside of a grocery store having zero contact with the outside world. And that's somehow not torture, by the way. That is somehow not torturing a man doing that to him. But whatever, you know, that's Mr. Beast. So now you know, guys, there's also suspicion that Mr. Beast is in on this, that it wasn't just Chris by himself doing all this wacky, wacky shit.
But you also know that people are going to try and bring Mr. Beast down because of
course, he's a celebrity. This is an opportunity to tear him down, and there are many, many YouTubers that hate his guts simply because he is the largest, and they're not.
Yep. But then again, like I said, I don't feel bad for Mr. Beast at all for being in this situation. Like I said, he had an opportunity at least a year ago to ditch this person, knowing that this person being associated with his brand was essentially going to bring this very thing that happened over the course of the last few days. And everyone was warning, it's like, hey, get rid of this dude. It's not worth it. It's going to hurt your brand. And he chose to stick with him despite thick and thin. And now all of a sudden, everything everyone said was going to happen has exactly happened. And now he's trying to present himself in the fact like, oh, I had no idea this was going on. Like, really? Like I said, it's not like some guy that he was associated. It was like his cameraman that he didn't really know that well on a personal basis. Like, this is your best friend for several years. It's like, we have all the evidence in your own video, so you can't even like backtrack and pretend like, well, I didn't know this guy that well. It's like, good luck with that argument, bro.
Well, and we're lucky too. Okay, we're lucky as just being us out here that we're able to observe all of this. And not have like the CIA and other intelligence groups trying to get a hold of us and work with us, because Mr. Beast has admitted that he has government connections. And why wouldn't they? He's communicating with children. He's communicating with adults in the order of hundreds of thousands and millions, hundreds of millions.
Put it to you this way. That there's no way that you would have 305 million YouTube subscribers and not have the CIA knocking on your door. That's just not going to happen. They're not going to allow you to have that much power unabated. So,
yep. I don't know about being the male Leslie Headland. He has some charisma to him. Don't get me wrong. Jimmy, whatever he is, Jeremy, whoever he is. I think he's Jimmy. I think it's Jimmy.
I think it's Jimmy. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's Jimmy. But anyway, he's a personal guy. Everywhere he goes in the world, people are usually pretty comfortable talking to him without even knowing that he's massively wealthy. They only know he's some type of streamer because he's walking around with a bunch of guys with cameras pointed at him. That's it.
And that's the other thing too, and this is something that I always found weird about him, is that no one can exactly tell you where he made all of his money from, because obviously watching like his videos, you can tell that the guy has a very, very large sum of money. Like, he's constantly giving away, like I said, thousands upon thousands of dollars on like every single video that he does, right? Like, he just gives it away like it's nothing. But no one ever asks the question. It's like, how did he get that rich? Like, is he like a Bitcoin billionaire? It's like, where did all the money come from? And no one can really clearly give you like a clear answer to like why he's so rich. Like, people try to say, like, oh, it's because he's the biggest YouTuber. It's like, well, that's not where all the money came from. Like, he had money before then. So it's like, where did the paper trail start? And like I said, no one exactly has a clear enough answer to that question to make you be like, wonder what's going on there.
It's pretty obvious, isn't it? We saw it with Dr. Disrespect. We saw it with Mini Lad. We saw it with Ohm Wrecker. We saw it with so many others that just Yeah, exactly. These guys that just show up out of nowhere, right? And all of a sudden they're massively popular and nobody trained them for it. Mr. Beast has managed to get out of that with young girls, right? He hasn't been caught doing anything with young girls, but we're about to find out if these investigators manage to, scratch the wrong door that he thinks is locked, right? The trouble with inviting anybody to come and investigate you is they'll investigate. And if you haven't made sure that every last nook, cranny, fiber of hair has been taken care of, somebody will find that. God forbid, man, that kid's like pants are at your place because they got wet and you just let him like take home an extra pair of pants because you have 10 billion of them or something like that, and his pants are at your property. Something innocent like that happened. God forbid that's going that way, because it's over then, Jim. It's over then. There's no excuse.
I'm not gonna lie, that kind of just makes me think of the episode of South Park where Cartman is trying to take down PC Principal, and he uses Butter's underwear to do it.
Yeah, it's just that easy. I mean, we see it with the female actresses going out and Me Tooing anybody, the social media girls that do this all the time. I can't wait for another 3 or 4 years to when the OnlyFans girls decided all their collaborators are them.
Oh my God, Kitty.
I can't
Sorry.
wait. I can't wait for the lawsuits. Like, I was coerced by OnlyFans president XYZ guy and this OnlyFans performer into doing this. I never wanted to do this. I was coerced into doing it. I can't wait. It's going to be great. Only two or something like that. It'll be only me. There it is. Only me, and that'll be their hashtag is #only_me. And yep. But that, again, like this is where social media was always going to evolve into. This is what we're looking at. So don't be surprised, guys, as you go forward now, especially after Trump. Who was it 3 years ago that he said all lies would be revealed to truth?
Wait, who's talking
Didn't
about?
Trump say that lies would be revealed to truth? Didn't he say that? All their lies would be revealed to truth. Didn't he say that a couple years
I
ago?
don't remember.
Yeah, I would say I was thinking to myself because I know everyone's been like going all in on like the Cat Williams quote from like earlier this year, saying that
Maybe
this would
that's
be
where I
the
got
year.
it
So
from. Is that
yeah.
that Trump's going to bring the truth back or something like that, right? That's what
No,
he said?
Cat Williams said like several months ago when he went on Shannon Sharp's show that all lies are going to be revealed in 2024.
That's
yeah.
what I'm thinking of. I thought it was Trump that said it. My bad. Cat Williams said it this year. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you got me. That's but that's what's happening.
We're seeing the real stupidity come out, but
Well, just
also
think of it since January, guys. What's been revealed to us since January? The whole world has been flipped on its head since then.
Yep.
2 days ago, our president was going to fight this fight clear to the battle box in November, okay?
Yep.
And now he's like, I've developed a disease. I can't run anymore. You're going to have to vote for the Indian black lady, depending on which coin flip she decides her race is this week.
I mean, all the pictures that you see of her from basically her childhood, she looks like a Bollywood movie star, but everyone else is saying, nope, she's African American. You better vote for her because you're black. It's like, okay. And then not only that, just like on top of even that too, all the conspiracy is about like Biden over the last few days, and then Biden gives a message earlier tonight where he's looking directly at a teleprompter, and if you look hard enough, it looks like the entire background behind him is like green screen, like he's not even actually in the Oval Office like he should be recording this thing, which makes it even more suspicious. Like you guys could even actually film this at like the Oval Office, so it's like what else are you guys like covering up like behind the scenes? So it's like, yeah, there's a whole lot of lies just being spewed all around this right now. So,
but you know what? Going back to what Sider said in terms of the truth, I mean, look at Assassin's Creed Shadows and the truth that has been unveiled from that. Like, there's so much, and this stuff goes back to like even before 2016. Like, this is wild what we've been seeing from this.
Yep.
Like, who knew that like someone would be doing something this sinister and no one knew about it? And someone's trying to get Thomas Lockley's wiki page deleted too. So
good. There will be progress. Nature is healing. Nature is healing. I also want to let you guys know before we drop out of here tonight that the Acolyte also dropped off the Nielsen ratings chart. That's right. Less than 3 days after the final episode came out, everybody stopped watching it. So it's gone. It's over with. Now, if it gets a season 2, obviously we'll know that that's being funded by BlackRock or whatever. Though they're not basing it on anybody's true
No, it's
reception
being
of the
funded
show.
by it's being funded by the shippers at this point because that's who the audience is. That's who the target
Did
audience
they
is.
even have enough shippers to justify that show at this point? It's like, how many of them are there really?
Yeah, and that's so it's done. We're gonna have to wait and find out if it gets renewed, but I don't know.
I don't think it will.
Disney has been in the habit of taking the losing path, so I would expect them to go that way and do a sequel to it, especially maybe a movie, right?
Well, then
they-
that would mean She-Hulk would be getting a sequel too.
Well, and the thing is that Kevin Feige in that interview with talking about RDJ and Evans said that they weren't going to bring back everybody from Phase 4. So I would guess that's going to mean She-Hulk because she's very expensive to animate. And I'm going to guess that that's probably the Incredible Hulk too. I don't expect Hulk to make a comeback in Secret Wars. I think that that's going to be way too over the top for them to try and keep track of. But consider that the Hulk in one leap can cross hundreds of miles. Well, not hundreds, tens of 20, whatever. A very long distance in one leap. Now put 40 of them in one battle scenario.
Oh god, that would be
You know what it will be? It'll be like one of those like cursed like Gmod lobbies where you just have like 700 people like all screaming around like with their PS2 mics blaring in the background.
Hulk
It's
smash,
like-
Hulk
Yeah,
smash,
God.
yeah. Do you know the way? Hulk smash, yeah. Some guy in the back just screaming R words all the time.
Oh, yeah.
R's the whole time.
So someone's playing Limp Bizkit through their mic for no reason.
Yeah,
It's just-
My Way or the Highway, top volume, maxed out, right into the speaker in their Xbox controller.
Yeah.
And
God, I just think it's funny because just thinking about the cursing and all that. It's like you see all this stuff now where the gaming studios are just like, oh, we're gonna put a cap in it. I'm like, dude, where the hell were you like in 2008 when this was when this really started happening, like 2007, 2008-ish, when these 12-year-olds were cursing on Xbox Live and harassing people. Like,
Right.
if you weren't gonna do it then why are you doing it now? There's no point now.
they just woke up to it. That's why. They just figured it out.
No, and
Yeah.
everything started in 2016. That's why.
It's true. When they were born, the whole world began. That's right. But we have reached the magical hour of 11 p.m. We've been here for about 3 hours talking about all the stuff we've got going on in Bounding and beyond. What's that?
It's a we.
Okay, I've been here. Nerdigans has been here.
You've been here for 2 hours, Jacob. We've been here for 3.
But yeah, we're at the end of the show now. We appreciate you coming by today and talking to us about all this strange and wonderful stuff. And also, get used to seeing Alyssa Mercante around the channel because I guarantee you she's going to be piping up about this even more, especially after this tantrum. So if you don't like her stuff, I'm sorry. We'll do our best to make it more interesting. Maybe we'll put some, I don't know, some faux Barry White music that we can AI generate in the background so it's a little more tolerable, huh? That's what you want in the background, right? A low-tone black guy just like whispering in your ear while you're looking at Alyssa Mercante, right?
Can't get enough of your love, babe.
Right, but it's like the Eurobeat remix of it, so it's obnoxious. And
Oh yeah.
Or the Bathhouse remix.
yeah, hard bass, Russian hard bass remix of Barry White.
Nerdigans, can you do a quick beatbox for us real quick before we get out of here?
No.
That would make my day.
No.
Just give us like 3 seconds of a beat.
No, that is just not happening.
I think it's in the
I'm already
Torah
dealing
they're
with the
not allowed
fussy
to do
kitty.
that.
I know that sounded really bad. I'm dealing my cat Zeno is being very, very fussy and wants to play fetch like every freaking 5-10 minutes or so.
Guys, if you donate enough money to the Bounding in the Comics YouTube channel, we will get Nerdigans to do a Dougie Fresh beatbox freestyle here on the show. So, we're gonna have that as a hidden perk.
Good night, everybody.
Into the night with a fire that burns so bright, speed of light and a heart so strong, chasing dreams where I belong. Thunder in the midnight air, wings of steel, we're almost there, racing towards the stars aglow. track.